揺れないといいな、みんな位置について現場は静かに静かにもう揺れないといいな、みんな位置について現場は静かに静かに Hey, I said quiet. You light up the city sky, shining bright like a supernova. Your love is a force of mine, making my heart race like a motor. Chains can't hold me down, with a flick I'll break free. Every villain in this town better step back and let us be. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. Searching through the neon glow, my heart burns like a fire. I'll melt the shadows, you know, with a love that never tires. We're going on a quest to protect what we cherish, but don't lose sight of our best. In the dawn, let our worries perish. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. No force can shatter the peace we have found. Our bond is like a tether, stronger with each challenge. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. On this journey we defend our love strong and bright. Bring back the joy, my friend, let's ignite the night. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. I wonder if Josh is gonna make this time.
Now, I know we go from that high-energy, happy intro into some kind of rough news. We have Atsuko Tanaka's passing here. She's the voice actor that portrayed Makoto Kusanagi in the Ghost in the Shell series, as well as Bayonetta in the Bayonetta game series. Here to talk to me about this is Miss Nerdigans.
Hi.
Hello.
This is really, really sad news. Especially coming off of the Pokemon anime English dub voice actress dying from stage 4 breast cancer. This one though, with Atsuko Tanaka, we don't know what's going on here. At least with Rachel Lillis, we knew what was going on. Like I want to say a couple months ago, that was when it was confirmed she was sick. But here, like the Black Butler mangaka Tadabasa said that when Tanaka was recording her lines for this current season, they had no idea, none.
Well, much like Akira Toriyama kept the severity of what was going on with him a secret, as did Atsuko Tanaka on this. And so the reality is we're going to see more of this, not only with the set that's a little young for dying, like 61's a little early as far as our standards go, but we're also going to continue to see more of the older set go because they've been, around for a while. Goku's voice actress isn't going to be around forever. So
no, she's the One Piece voice actors are getting really up there in age.
Yep.
I mean, the mangaka or Oda's getting up there in age, but I mean, in the case of what we've been seeing over here stateside in terms of actors, they've been dying really, really young. Like Rachel Lillis was 46
Yep.
when she died from cancer. She died from stage 4 breast cancer. But the voice actors over there that have died, what I want to say this year alone, have been in the major deaths have been in their like 50s and 60s,
Mm.
if I remember correctly. And then Akira Toriyama was in his 60s.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
a lot of that goes around. A lot of that goes around.
but yeah, but similar to with what I was saying with Rachel Lillis, Toriyama, people knew what was going on with Toriyama. Like very few people do, apparently, from what we've seen in over the course of the past few months. They knew what was happening and they just prepared for it. But with the voice actors, they're just as tight-lipped.
Well, and again, they didn't want like her hospital room to turn into like a circus show, and they didn't want the funeral to be like some kind of event.
No,
Just
no,
so-
it's like that in general. But we saw another voice actress, Japanese voice actress, that was recording her lines from her hospital room. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she died earlier this year. But we saw that. But yeah, as Cider has, because I sent this to Cider. Araki, the mangaka of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he posted an original illustration of Lisa Lisa, because that's who Atsuko voiced in part 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yep. Well, and there's the character art.
Yeah, she's so beautiful. Araki still got it. I mean, if you're reading the JoJo Lands, which is the current part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like, damn, it's just incredible what Araki is doing with his art at his age.
Well, and again, that you don't become a world-renowned mangaka for nothing, and that's kind of something that a lot of people in the West sort of forget. But we do have a member chat from member Dante RX. He says R.I.P. Major with the cheers emoji. Member for 4 months. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then many voices. By the way, this woman was very, very, very in demand, as it were. So
Yeah,
as
she
you
did a
check
lot of
out,
voices for Gundam too, different iterations of Gundam.
yep,
So
and
yeah, the
that's
Mecha World is morning. She did G Gundam, I believe. I know she did Iron Blooded Orphans, if I remember correctly.
okay.
Because I was looking at her My Anime list when she passed away to see what she did. Because I was trying to find, because I was looking at this animation director because he said that he worked with her in 2023. So I was trying to find the correlation. And yeah, she did voice acting for Gundam, for a few Gundams. And she was in Soso no Freiren, which is, Beyond Journey's End. Let's see. I should just pull up the My Anime list. I don't know why I don't have it in front of me.
Well, it's okay. I mean, she has a very storied career, and it's hard to go through someone who's been so I guess practiced in voice acting in Japan, because you're going to run into just all of these minor roles and all of these large roles, and there's just it's a big footprint that this woman leaves behind. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really, really sad.
But we can pivot out of the sad stuff and into a good thing. Shueisha announces the long-awaited Witch Watch anime adaptation.
Yes.
Yeah, you wrote this
I'm
up for us.
so excited for this. Okay, so this is really funny. There's a really funny story to this. So back at Jump Festa this past December at Jump Festa, there was a panel for Witch Watch, and everyone, including me, and of course, Japanese fans and all that, we were all thinking, okay, we were going to get the anime announcement then. We're going to get it then. And Shinohara pulled something that like Sorachi, the mangaka of Gintama, would do, and basically trolled all the fans and said, no, you're not getting your anime announcement.
Oops.
No. So I'm really excited for this. This is something that fans have been waiting for. It's been and I'm glad this is how Shueisha's doing this. It's been it was Mission Yozakura Family, Sakamoto Days, Witch Watch, and also Blue Box technically too. And Akane Banashi, like those 5 from Weekly Shonen Jump in particular, fans have been waiting for anime adaptations of. And obviously we have Sakamoto Days coming. Blue Box is on the way as well. And Mission Yozakura Family is currently airing. Undead Unluck is getting its 2nd season. And with Witch Watch, I'm really excited for this one in particular because of what Kento Shinohara said. Because this isn't his first rodeo. He's had 2 anime adaptations, Sket Dance and Astro Lost in Space. Yeah, and
Don't
he
say
said,
that first one too fast.
and he said this time around, after having both experiencing both anime adaptations, he's like, I'm gonna crack the whip this time. I'm gonna be involved in every aspect, and I'm probably gonna piss off the director in the process because I want to make sure there's little things that I want done a specific way, because how he approaches his chapters is he approaches them like if they were anime episodes. And like if you read the Witch Watch chapters, you're like, yeah, I could see that, because it's similar to Gintama in a lot of ways, where you could see them being like standalone episodes. And there's some where it's like very episodic, and then there's some where it's like, yeah, you could see them just being like filler episodes. So yeah, I see where Shinohara is going with that. I'm really happy that he's cracking the whip. I mean, we've seen this with other series, like with in terms of art and animation anyway, with Kimono Jihen is the best example, and that art and animation came out beautifully. Oh my god. But we'll see what happens with Witch Watch. So far, the art animation looks stunning. It looks beautiful.
Even these stills, they look kind of fun. And I appreciate that it's not just a regular old Kiki's Delivery Service broom that she's riding around on.
No.
It's kind of unique. It's a giant wandy staff thing.
Yeah, and the characters are very quirky. And I remember when the first chapter came out, because I've been covering it, I'm one of the few people that have been covering it since chapter 1. It's a very unique premise because it's a slice of life series, a fantasy slice of life series, and you have a witch, an ogre, a werewolf, and a tengu and a vampire living under one roof together. And basically, Nico, the witch, she's there's a her mother, who's a divination witch, predicts that there's going to be disaster that befalls her, and Morihito is her familiar and childhood friend and her crush. She moves in with him so that he can protect her, and he takes everything seriously, even down to his jeans. He is a jean fanatic. It is so funny. So like you'll get chapters where he like talks about how he treats like his vintage Levi 19, like, oh my god, was it 1965 jeans?
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about like vintage.
I was like, wait a minute.
No. We're talking about like vintage blue jeans. Like he'll talk about how he takes care of his jeans like in a specific way. It is just so stupid, and I love it. I love that manga for that. Oh my god. But the only thing though is I will have to forewarn you on this, is that Viz does have a very botched localization and will put memes in there, and it really sucks at times, and it gets very frustrating. But other than that, it is a really good series.
How else will anime appeal to Zoomers if it doesn't mention Among Us?
I mean, they put Thick in there, for Christ's sakes.
It takes talent. It takes talent.
It does. This is just trying way too hard to be hip with the kids. They do this in Murray Dragon as well, and it's very annoying.
Well, speaking of being hip with the kids, though, we've got word is Godzilla and My Hero Academia are going to be teaming up in some capacity.
Oh my god, yes, and it's so adorable. It is just the cutest thing. I saw this last night. I saw a different one with Deku and regular Godzilla, as well as Deku and Chibi Godzilla. But god, it is so cute. You can't hate it. And it's so perfect too, considering, with what the Toho International rep said about how Godzilla -1 influenced the decision to really go all out with your next overseas. It just feels so poetic.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, my brain just finally figured out what I was looking at. I was like, "Wait, what is this?" What? So I see on the left we've got. If you're
And
not
got your
familiar,
kaiju. So cute.
if you're not familiar, there's a Japanese Godzilla show that is in chibi style animation, as you see here on the left.
And
It
it's free
is
on YouTube.
it is between adult and child, it kind of walks that line of like there's adult humor, but the children can also be amused by what's happening. There's no sex, there's no gore, that kind of stuff. There's just jokes that adults would go, haha, I understand that, and children would be amused by the characters doing their big faces and big reactions. Now, what I find funny is that not only have they parodied both of this, you got a giant golden statue of Godzilla, and at its neck, rather than having Dark Might, you've got I assume Darkzilla down there.
Yes. And then you
Some
got the your kaiju too instead of your.
yeah. And again, this flows along with like we've seen this before with how One Piece mangaka Oda like to redraw Dragon Ball Z covers. We
Yeah,
see
we see
that.
this. We see this with the. Actually, there's that uh program, or it's been happening since for a while now, where different mangaka redraw different volumes of Dragon Ball in
Yep.
their own art style. It's really cool. But God, I just this is so stupid, and I love it so much.
Yep. As always, they get it right, And I wish we'd learn from this. I wish we would learn from this, but we did it for some reason. The U.S. is like, no, we
I
will
wish
not do
Marvel would
this.
learn from this. I mean, if you are not reading Deadpool Samurai right now, you really should. It's so, so dumb and so amazing. And it's a goddamn shame that Marvel is not banking on it. They could do so much with it. But nah,
Well,
they would rather be stupid.
well, speaking of stupid, we've got a wonderful update over here at Entertainment Weekly. We've
Oh my
got
god.
the original Naruto live action movie writer previews, director Dustin Daniel Cretins is saying is going to be a nuanced and special take. And the takeaway from this is that he's saying that the Naruto movie he's producing will not be swallowed up by the Naruto world and will be nuanced and focused on Naruto himself. I don't believe that for a second.
No, especially with what Tasha Huo said, and she's the showrunner for the Tomb Raider series for Netflix. She said that it's not a big payday. No, not that. And I'm just like, no, you just that's a Freudian slip. Let's be real. This is a Freudian slip that she said. But yeah, I have a bad feeling about this. I feel like that this is going to be Naruto in name only.
Right.
Based on what this article was saying, and I'm just like,
That's fair.
Kishimoto, you made yourself look bad by saying this director was the best one for Naruto, for a Naruto live action. You should have just had Shinsuke Sato, who is the director of the Kingdom live action movies, and the Golden Kamuy and Bleach live action adaptations. You should have had him direct this, because he actually works with the mangaka. The mangaka co-write the scripts for the most part, and they do a fantastic job with the adaptations. The latest Kingdom movie's doing well at the box office too in Japan. And
Well,
Shinsuke Sato's directing the Boku no Hero Academia live action as well. So hopefully that one will be good.
well, it depends if how much the West is involved in it. That's the thing, That's what
Yeah.
ruins it. But I don't understand these live action things. That's really what I want to attract everybody's attention to. Like, why are we live actioning anime? We saw what happened with Dragon Ball Evolution. We've heard now that this is going to go that sideways. That it's going to be that bad that they're going to embrace just a complete divorce of anything familiar to the Naruto franchise itself in order to focus on a blonde kid with a fox in his gut. And that's
Well, they're doing here's the thing. They're doing live action because there's that stigma where anime is for kids and blah blah blah. They're trying to bring in an adult audience to get adults to see that it's not for kids, that it is for a universal audience. And I've heard stories that like some people will like, look at One Piece, for example. People watch the One Piece live action and then they end up watching the anime and reading the manga and getting into One Piece that way. And they realize, oh, okay, this is actually good. That's what they're doing with these live actions. But in the case of like live action adaptations for like say Tokyo Ghoul or for Kingdom anyway, those end up being better than the anime in some cases. It's rare, mind you, but it does happen. But that's because you have, in the case of like Kingdom, as I said, you got the mangaka working on it, working alongside the director. Bleach, you had Kubo working alongside the director. It's just a whole different thing when you have like when you are respecting the source material compared to like what we're seeing here and with Dragon Ball Evolution and with Saint Seiya and with Cowboy Bebop, where it's like an obvious cash grab. You're muted.
Sorry, I can't say it's a cash grab about Cowboy Bebop. Not that they were trying to be legitimate or anything, but they were definitely trying to take that name and build something new out of it, not cash in on anything. Because the thing about the Bebop thing that really tipped the scale into like they were trying to create a new property out of it rather than trying to attract anybody to the property itself was when they made Faye hideous.
Yeah.
And they could have made her black and still made her beautiful and attractive if they wanted to go the DEI route, whatever, it's not a big deal, I guess, whatever. They did it to Jet, so but the situation is that they didn't. They made her ugly and they found like the most like discordant actress they possibly could to fill that role. And that's the problem with this. Is that I have this sneaking suspicion that the Naruto movie is going to be about Sakura and Tsunade, not Naruto. We're going to get a little bit of that and a little bit of him and Sasuke because they're going to be like the big explosion kind of fight in the lake scene. Obviously, we'll get that. But I think the story is mainly going to be like told through Sakura's eyes and how she's not taken seriously by the male ninjas and
Oh
Naruto and
God.
Sasuke are so self-involved with their fight with each other and that kind of thing. And I get a feeling that's the route they're going to go because I can't if their main concern is appealing to adults, I can't imagine the story of an orphan boy with a fox in his belly being anything that these Hollywood weirdos can wrap their head around on an adult level. They're like, "Oh,
Well,
that's a
they
Pixar movie."
they'd probably try and make Naruto gay for Sasuke or something like that. They could.
Sasuke. Yep.
Sasuke, they would do that. I could see that if anything. They'd
Well,
do that, but
speaking of sauce, but not gay, we have an update. Chick-fil-A is moving into the entertainment space with plans to launch a slate of TV shows for its own streaming platform.
here's my argument for this. KFC has video games. They have the Colonel has been in manga. It has been in, I think it's been in the anime adaptations of like Gintama too. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, why not? I mean, I'm not surprised by that. If Chick-fil-A is trying to compete with KFC on that front, sure, but you got to have a mascot. Whereas KFC has Colonel Sanders. They could get away with all kinds of crazy crap. Same with McDonald's. You have Ronald McDonald. You could do all this stuff. I mean, look at what we've had in the 90s, the 80s and 90s. So if Chick-fil-A can come up, if Chick-fil-A already had an established mascot like McDonald's and KFC did, I'd be like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Go for it. But they don't have anything unless you're talking about the cows. But
I'm not sure they're going to go with a thematic. Like, this is the Chick-fil-A streaming service that talks about Chick-fil-A. I think they're going to go with, like, it's not going to be like Stream-a-lay. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be something, it'll be something, like Bent Key, that thing from Daily Wire. It'll be like that has, like, a right of center uh, library, I guess, but
yeah,
it'll probably be more esoteric, existential stuff like what's on Apple TV. That's what they'll probably, or Mac TV, whatever it is, that's
Apple
streaming.
TV.
The Apple TV. So that'll probably be more geared toward that stuff than like action adventure sort of stuff, cartoons. There'll probably be programming for children, but nothing for like teenagers in that level.
Now I think
And
about it, McDonald's, why don't you do that? Why don't you have like at least a platform with all of your old commercials and old Ronald McDonald cartoons? Like at least put it somewhere.
they may not own the rights to them. We got to remember, like most of that stuff was animated by the Japanese, and some of those
That's
studios don't exist
true.
anymore. You know, I think the studio that worked on Thundercats and Silverhawks just flatly doesn't exist anymore. You know, and
Gotta
so
wonder who
that's
owns them. Because like wouldn't it be
Sunbow,
nice to
right?
have a
Sunbow, yeah.
it'd be nice that like if McDonald's was smart, they try and get that stuff, try to get the rights for that and like put it on a platform. And maybe if they see since they're seeing Chick-fil-A do it, maybe they'll be smart and do that and put like their old commercials on there and stuff like that. Because that would be smart.
Well,
But McDonald's isn't smart.
I gotta ask, like, what? I don't know what's to be gained here. This has been my argument about like Disney and all these other like Paramount Plus and HBO Max, all these other ones. Why they didn't pile in with Netflix, and so yet
Or
another
YouTube.
streaming. Well, yeah, and yet another streaming platform is going to erupt out of this, and it's not going to meet its goals because it's not. Netflix reigns supreme for a reason. Don't fight them. Just get on board with what they're up to. I know it violates the Christian ethics and stuff like that, but that's what you do. You go into their house, you take your shoes off, and you sit down on their living room floor until they talk to you. You know, that's what you got to do. You go into YouTube, you put out a channel like Tokushoutsu, and you just sit there and you just air your stuff day in and day out, rake in the ad revenue off of it.
Yeah, do that with you could do that on Pluto TV, and I think Tubi's starting to do something like that too, if I remember correctly. But yeah, just like there's plenty of platforms that they could do this on. It makes no sense.
Well, and that again, like that's my big thing about it is like going out and making your own streaming platform, kind of silly. I don't see the gain. It's kind of like when KFC announced the semi-serious attempt to create a gaming console in which the heat sink was a way to cook your chicken.
How
You know
so
that
stupid.
Yeah, this rate's right up there with it. That's the thing. Like, let's say Chick-fil-A takes this seriously. All right, and they go out and they get a server farm and they build up this website that can handle all this demand, and then they put out shows that don't suck. Let's say that it's not chicken-based show. Let's say they just sit down and create like you remember UPN? Did you guys have that on your
Yeah.
coast? Let's just say they do Chick-fil-A UPN, right? Let's just say they just do UPN. And it's just right of center, semi-Christian programming. That's it. Just the messaging that God's out there somewhere. Doesn't matter if he's got a toga or tits. He's out there. And that's what they're up to. I think that's the goal here. But the problem is like, why? Why are you doing this like as a standalone platform?
I think that's I think it's dumb. I think they should start off as a YouTube channel and see if they can garner an audience first, and then
Build an
go from
interest.
there.
Put out a
Yeah.
movie, Chick-fil-A. Do what the Sound of
Put
Freedom
a
did.
cow movie. Put out a cow movie. Like use your Chick-fil-A cows and do like a cow movie. Like have the cows save the chickens or something.
That's a little too
Like
brandy, right? I think what their goal is to try and be a competitor to Netflix, not a we want to advertise chicken through this streaming service.
but
It's a
that's
weird.
the thing. You
Well,
want you want to advertise. You want to get more sales from your restaurant so you can maintain your streaming service or
well,
build your streaming service.
well, and the way it works though is if you think about it, consider what you do with a streaming platform, okay? With a streaming platform like Netflix, you give $11 a month whether you watch $11 worth of content or not. Whereas with Chick-fil-A, you got to come in, people got to put a sandwich together. That's resources, that's fresh food, that's training, that's electricity, blah, blah, blah. Whereas with just the streaming end of it, you get an instant subscription payment every month from so many hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. And that is just maintaining the server farm. There's no new training, there's no new food, there's no environmental situations, nobody's bombed out the restaurant, that kind of thing. And so that's what they're going for. I think the more lucrative end is to have this platform. Again, you could just have sidebar ads that are like, hey, while you're watching, have some Chick-fil-A. Get it with the DoorDash. Here's the QR. Oh, that's a good idea. Instead of having a commercial, a little sidebar appears on the side with a QR code that says, order your chicken now. Considering you're comfortable, how about you order your chicken now with DoorDash? Scan the
Yeah,
QR code for a special deal, you know?
for
And I
free
think that
delivery or something.
yeah, right, free delivery, and that might be how they do this, is that rather than having a platform that only airs chicken-themed programming, because that's an incredibly niche market, they'll have one that just, like, appeals to everybody, but it'll have these sidebar ads that don't interrupt the program. It's not like Hulu that's like, "Wait a minute, we gotta show you an ad." It just has a sidebar that pops up with a QR code that says, "Order your stuff now." I don't
That's
know.
well, yeah, and you get maybe if you pay like a certain amount of money, you get free Chick-fil-A a month or some
That
Chick-fil-A a
would be
month.
great. Dinner and a meal. Hey, that might be it. The premium package is dinner and a meal. Every time we find you watching a program longer than a half an hour, we will send DoorDash chicken to your house unsolicited. You're in the middle of a Chick-fil-A and chill. How about that? Yeah, you're in the middle
Chick-fil-A
of
and
a
chill.
chill, and the free Chick-fil-A shows up at your house because you've been watching for a half an hour or more.
I mean, like watch it for a watch a certain amount of time, and then you get free Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's like watching. It's movie points. Oh
Hey,
my god!
that's how you guarantee them to watch your programs, right? You make it a half an hour in, buddy, out of an hour-long program, you get free chicken.
You get a free chicken sandwich.
Yeah, right? If you sit through the ads, we'll throw in the waffle fries.
Yes.
But hey, it's a new world. We're all out here witnessing it live. Chick-fil-A is going to come up with their own streaming content. And who knows, there is so much manga out in the world right now. And there's so much manga from before that just didn't make the cut for the Japanese corporations. And now Chick-fil-A, with their chicken greased pockets, might end up funding stuff that ordinarily may not have made it to the mainstream. So who knows?
Never know.
And that I think that's cool. You know, that part's neat. But
I mean, KFC gets like anime. Dude, if you go to the KFC Spanish Twitter, there's like different anime that they put up on their Twitter. It is insane what they do. American KFC is it's crazy how American fast food compared to like the rest of the world, how boring it is compared to like how it was when we were growing up.
well, it's a reflection of not having a lot of kids. Every nation on Earth is experiencing a drop in population, and that results in a lot less child-focused content, and
No,
that's
I'm
where we're
saying
at.
no, I'm saying that like in the Spanish, or I'm saying you look at Japan, you look at like Spanish KFC, and they have like really fun ads
Yeah.
posted on their Twitter. They have anime characters, and like the US, it's just like it's like boring corporate stuff. And it's
Yep.
just and like back when we were growing up, it wasn't like that at all. Like we had like really cool ads from like McDonald's and Burger King and KFC, and they were really fun. But at least in regards to McDonald's, I haven't seen that much advertising from it. I don't know if you have for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sanrio collab toys. They finally got them.
Nope, I don't get any advertisements. I have every kind of ad blocker there is going, and I don't watch live television to save my life. So, nope. They can't get me unless they show up to my house and start pasting the advertisements on my windows. So, but speaking of getting me, we have great news. Season 2 with Netflix of One Piece is underway, and Oda posts an update about it.
I'm surprised they didn't say that Oda blackwashed or not whitewashed Usopp this time. They did not, because look how light Usopp is compared to his actor.
Well, give it time. Give it time. It's a countdown until they do it. But yep, so there it is. We have this announcement that season 2 is coming. Oda's excited about it all, and we'll move into the casting announcements for
Well,
the
we do
live
have it says in there what arcs they're going to be doing too. We're not getting Alabasta for season 2, like people were saying. It's not coming yet. Where is it up in
The
there?
live action can't move as fast as the anime.
No,
That's the thing, is that it has to really get the characterization nailed before you start throwing more and more and more on top of it. So
but there it is.
that's probably for the best that you were not getting Alabasta and all these other people.
Yeah, it's going from Logtown to Drum Island. So it's going to be Logtown, Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and Drum Island.
Oh yeah. Okay. I forgot about that. But yeah, so we have that news coming through, and now we also have the live action casting coming through now.
Yeah, there's going to
And
be more castings tomorrow and on the 23rd as well.
now a lot of people were celebrating that Jamie Lee Curtis did not get the role of Dr. Cureha. Anyway,
Yeah.
that they're pleased with that. That they were taunting her that she didn't get the role and things like that. So I guess there was a lot of speculation that she was going to end up with it like anointed to her, and having Katie Seagal thrown into it was quite a surprise. You might recognize her from I believe she was in Rescue Me, opposite
And
of
Sons
Dennis
of
Leary.
Anarchy as well.
Yep. Yep. And so she's quite sassy, delivers sassy, independent woman quite well. And unfortunately not familiar with Mark Herelick very well. Anybody in the chat know what this fella gets up to? I don't think I've ever seen any of his work. If I have, I'm not familiar with
Oh
it.
yeah, and Katie also voices Leela in Futurama.
Ah, right. That's why the voice reminds. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But in regards to Katie Seagal,
Oh,
like
and she's
her,
Peg. Whoops. I'm not that old, Spencer. Sorry. I know you're not either, but you know.
but
When I think of this lady, it's Rescue Me that comes to my mind, not not Married with Children.
but the Katie Seagal, her face is like perfect for Dr. Correja. The only thing she needs is just like a couple prosthetics and some makeup. Yeah, nose and a chin prosthetic and some makeup to make her forehead look older. And I
Eh,
think she'll look the part.
they may not go that far. They really given her gray hair and making her pull her hair, like comb her hair back instead of having bangs. That accomplishes 9/10 of what they want to do because she already has that angular bridge nose and that pointed chin. You go out and push that out too much further, it's gonna get
No, it'd just be like a small, just a little bit of a chin extension, not too big of a chin prosthetic, just a small one. The nose maybe wouldn't need a prosthetic. Maybe like a contour would probably do it for the nose, but like the chin, just like a small chin prosthetic to elongate it just a little bit.
okay, so apparently Mark played God in Preacher, and I didn't catch Preacher, so that's why I don't recognize him. And then Bayon Rad says that he was also in Seinfeld, and I also did not get into Seinfeld. My apologies. But yeah, I agree with you that they'll have to do a bit of adjustment with her, but I'm thinking they're just gonna give her a couple of sets of sunglasses and a shirt that fits her too tight and expect people to get it.
They won't do
Um,
that. They didn't cinch Emily Rudd, so I don't expect them to cinch Katie Seagal. They won't do it.
Cinch?
Cinch, aka make her waist smaller, so that way
Oh, no, no. I
to
said
give her a
tight
curve.
t-shirt. Like like Katie is top heavy. That's a good way to put it. And so they won't need to augment her appearance much to make her accomplish Dr. Cureja's look.
Oh,
I
to give
can't
her the
say that
curve.
about Mark. I would say just what we're looking at on the picture. If you were
They need
just
to give him a fat suit or something.
yeah, he's gonna need that definitely. You
Oh,
know.
say hi, Kitty.
Oh, there's Zeno. Hello. But yeah, these are good casting choices. I'm not familiar with Mark, but considering that Katie Seagal was chosen for this, I'm going to assume that Mark is just as good of a fit. So, you know, yeah, some of them translator. You know, the biggest problem I think with the live action is that they are trying so hard to stuff politics in it. And of course, Oda's fighting them and valiantly so, but they are trying so hard to politicize this. And the only reason why it's having success is because there is immense resistance to turning this into yet another platform to lecture people through.
Well, I mean, I think I've mentioned it before multiple times. Is that this is what happened with the Cyberpunk Edge Runners? I mean, Trigger was butting heads with Project Red about it
Yep.
constantly, and if it wasn't for Trigger telling Project Red, you guys are being stupid. We're doing it this way. You're not going to get a good anime unless we do it this way. You wouldn't have had Cyberpunk Edge Runners. You wouldn't have had Rebecca in there either.
Well, and you could take Cyberpunk Edge Runners however you like, but it doesn't push the political envelope as far as it could have. I'll give it that. That it definitely resisted the urge to be as preachy as it could have been. So.
Yeah.
We do have Leslie Tarkin saying, "You'd think they'd learn no politics is wanted or needed." That's just it. The world of One Piece has its own politics, its own stories, its own humanist appeal, and it doesn't need Western politics rammed into it. The stories within it appeal to anybody, anywhere in the world.
Well, like the underlying theme of the final saga is liberation and revolution. So
yeah, and again, we're also looking at her Dr. Correa's story with Chopper is one of many stories that will break your heart. There's a lot of that in the One Piece world, a lot of betrayal, a lot of unfulfilled expectations, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that isn't things that are hard to convey to an English-speaking audience. That's not foreign to anybody who would be seeing this live action absent of the manga and anime. So it's so bizarre that they're pushing this, but it is just along with how they operate. I don't know how to tell the story unless I'm mentioning Trump and Among Us. I don't know what to do. I can't tell the story unless I'm out here preaching about how there's too many white people in the world. And it's good to see that they're at least holding them to solid casting choices. I have such little faith in Netflix. That's why. I want to believe that this will work, but I just don't. I just feel it any minute now. It's gonna flip into a Lifetime movie original. Just any minute now. I was surprised that they gave Luffy the punch to Alveda, punching her out to sea. I didn't really believe that they were gonna have a man punch a woman. That blew my mind, and in graphic detail, not like on the horizon, his hand extends out of your vision and you hear thwack. They closed up slow mo, delivering that woman off of the boat, and that blew my mind. So I maybe they'll do it right,
but what's crazy is that if this was a Japanese production that was doing it, if it was Japanese Netflix doing this, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, they have the Yu Yu Hakusho movie is demonstrative that they know what they're doing. But speaking of knowing what you're doing, we do have an announcement about the end of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, My Hero Academia recently ended, and now Jujutsu Kaisen's ending in 5 chapters. Everyone's losing their mind over this. Am I surprised that it's ending this year? I thought it was going to end in early 2025, to be honest. But with how the series is going direction-wise, especially after this most recent chapter, yeah, I still thought it would end. I still think it should end, maybe in October. I would say maybe November. I thought at least 10 more chapters. I think that's what a lot of people were thinking, was 10 more chapters, more than 5 chapters. 5 chapters. It's going to be interesting to see how the pacing goes with this. But I like this, though. I'm working hard to create a final chapter that will probably satisfy as many Jujutsu Kaisen readers as possible.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No, it's not. I mean, look at what happened with My Hero Academia's ending. My Hero Academia's ending was just a clusterfuck. I'm still not happy with it. I'm not. We barely had any good endings this year. We haven't had a good manga ending in a minute, minus Hoseki no Kuni. That was a good manga ending. But other than that, it's rare to get a good ending in manga. It's just not sticking the landing yet. But one series that's ending soon, that's ending next month, that I think will stick the landing is Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable. I think that one's going to stick the landing. It's oh god, that manga is really, 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 really cute. If you are into a rom-com series, Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable is so worth it. You will like it. Twin Star Exorcist is ending this upcoming month as well. I'm worried on how that one's going to end. We'll see how that one ends. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen and Boku no Hero Academia ending, people are flipping out about the future of Jump, at Weekly Shonen Jump specifically. When people say Jump, it's Weekly Shonen Jump. Are flipping out on how Jump is going to go. But well, Hunter x Hunter's coming back after Jujutsu Kaisen ends, so you're going to have Hunter x Hunter back, which is good. And Togashi's worked on at least 10 chapters from what I saw on Twitter. Kitty, no. And then and as I mentioned earlier, you got Witch Watch, you got you got Kagurabachi, you got the Elusive Samurai, you got Blue Box, you got Sakamoto Days, you have what's the other series I was thinking of before Kitty like screwed up my train of thought. You got Undead Unluck. Mission Yozakura Family's ending, so I can't include that in the equation. But there's plenty of series in Jump and Weekly Shonen Jump. Oh yeah, and there's Me and Roboco too. Me and Roboco actually sells pretty decently as well. And then there's Super Psychic Policeman Chojo that's been getting popular amongst the Japanese fans. And Astro Royale, which is by the mangaka of Tokyo Revengers and Super Exorcist Kyoshi, or Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi. So there's plenty of series in Weekly Shonen Jump. They just need to get promoted more. And it's the case of the newer series. Kagurabachi is actually doing well, but Kitty, why? Why did you have to do that just now? Why are you being a bad kitty? But
Well, Jujutsu Kaisen was one of the ones that got under my radar. I didn't pick up on this whatsoever until it started getting like the McDonald's treatment, and it blew my mind that anybody was taking this one seriously. And again, it completely blew me away that this became anything. And it's another one of those ones like when we were coming up, like people were like, I don't know, I can't get into Naruto, and I was like, are you kidding me? How can
let me tell you the story about Jujutsu Kaisen before I forget. So the story, because I've been covering Jujutsu Kaisen since chapter 17 in the manga stream days. So this was like in 2018, and this is around the time Chainsaw Man started serialization as well. And I remember that this was pre-anime. People were thinking that, oh, Jujutsu Kaisen's not going to get popular, even with the anime. It's not going to do well at all. And then once the anime hit, that's when it gained its popularity. Same thing with I think it was the same thing. No, it wasn't the same thing with Chainsaw Man. It was the same thing. It was worse with Demon Slayer. But Demon Slayer, people thought it was going to get the axe before the anime came out. But yeah, I wonder if those people are laughing now.
Well, it's one of those things that I didn't expect this to go anywhere. It's such a bizarre premise and it's such a strange concept on top of that. So I just wasn't prepared for what they had to deliver here. And again, like you said, once the anime came out, it took off. It's such a strange and complicated combat system. And then on top of that, the main character is kind of not the main character. So it's really weird that it took off. But I guess, if you're wondering if Jump can keep going, this anime and manga series has demonstrated that there is a wide array of appeal in manga that, worldwide. It's not just the casual coming of age shonen stories.
Not just One Piece, I mean.
Right. It's also these stories about a young man who's grappling with a little more serious demon problem than Naruto could ever dream of having. So,
well, the thing is, and this is the Western situation, is Western fans are just so caught up in battle manga that they don't realize they won't expand their horizons. But because of the popularity of series like, I almost forgot about New Exorcist. New Exorcist has been gaining a lot of popularity too. And that one is like, I would say, very similar to, it's like Ayakashi Triangle, where it's like a lewd Exorcist series. When I say it's not as lewd as Ayakashi Triangle, though. Oh, that one was just like next level lewd. It had to move to Jump Plus because of how lewd it was. But yeah, it's Kitty, why? Why are you being a bad kitty right now? Why are you knocking things over? But yeah, it's something that a lot of people are saying, and I think this is going to be the case too, is Jump Plus is just really delivering a lot of interesting series. They're taking a lot of risks with the series they're putting out. There's like there's Deep Reputa, which is about it's a thriller story about an AI that falls in love with a human, and to get closer to him, she hijacks his body, including like his heart, brain, hijacks like the entire town he lives in, and even I'm going to spoil it, so you have to deal with it. She even his father is a member of the military, and she, because this is a military AI we're talking about, she hijacks his father's crew because they're in a submarine, and she gets him, the father, to kill himself. It is just insane, this series, and this is on Jump Plus, mind you. You got series like Centuria on Jump Plus. You got Tokyo Underworld on Jump Plus, like, and rom-coms like Sherry's Love is 8 Meters Tall on Jump Plus. So that's why, like, people are saying Weekly Shonen Jump needs to start taking more risks, like Jump Plus or Young Jump. Well, Young Jump's more adult, but Jump Plus is like an in between, if that makes sense. Hell's Paradise Jigakuraku was on Jump Plus as well.
Well, you know, speaking of mistakes, there is the Tomb Raider Legend of Lara Croft attempt at anime. This is this Castlevania almost anime thing. Obviously, we can't play the audio from it, but we are able to just take a look here as it goes through. And wow, that is, man, that reminds me of oh, the He-Man! You remember the He-Man story from the early 2000s? Remember that? Reimagining, like, that ultra badass He-Man with all the sharp and pointy lines. Remember that? That's what this animation style reminds me of. We got these painted static backgrounds with characters that are an attempt at anime, Amerime. I don't know what to call it. Gaijiname, maybe? I'm not sure what you call it, but it is, it's definitely immediately recognizable as someone in America wanted to pretend to make anime.
Swear you have a death wish.
Why did you do that? Damn it, X. So anyway, as you can see, lots of fire, because that studio really likes their supernatural gobbledygook. And, there you go. The zombies showing up. Lara Croft's got to do some of the crazy stuff there. Lara Croft does. And she's drifting in an old Porsche, so that's neat. You know, you don't see that too often in anime. And, yeah. Girl power and a fat guy. Of course. There's always a fat guy. And, yeah. She's waterbending. Did you know that Lara Croft could waterbend? Apparently, because that's her lesbian lover there. Or Justin Bieber. One or the other. No, I'm pretty sure that's a lesbian lover. But, yeah, so they go, oh, the coffin, somebody's alive in the coffin. Oh, golly gee willikers. You know, it's almost like this show's gonna have nothing to do with tomb raiding and everything to do with Lara Croft's unresolved trauma with her father. Oh, and that breaks, and then she's a vampire, and that's neat, you know. More I see this, the more I think back to that He-Man show I was talking about and, like, how much I want to watch that, not this. So, I don't know. Got DZ3 here, and he says, she loves adventuring than being in a relationship. Well, how about that? You know, strong.
I thought she was the tourist.
Yeah.
And she was the tourist getting souvenirs, not a tomb raider. And she looks like a man.
Kire Runte is here. Runte? Kire Run. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It sounds like I am. I like the combat and the new games, but the story is awful, in my opinion. Yeah, it's one of those things. We've got DZ3 saying, oh, this one. They made Laura lesbian in this series when she never was. Laura is supposed to be a selfish character. Yes, she would be in a relationship, but she would also betray them as soon as possible, as they betray her. And then, yeah, American anime, something like that. Leslie says, why are all the strong women depicted as lesbians today? Well, Because they don't know how to communicate a woman that doesn't need a man unless she quite literally in every fashion does not need a man. And that's why all the strong female leads are portrayed as either being bisexual or full-on lady lovers.
Well, that's because they're, and I actually had this conversation with someone on Twitter. It's because a lot of these people that are doing this are insecure. They're insecure Karens that are jealous of beautiful women and they wish they could be them. And because they can never be them, they want to make them ugly to make themselves feel better. That's why you see activists, self-inserts, if you will, in a lot of series, like like the Gundam series that's coming out. Remember the CGI one that has Either that or Sunrise is pissed off at the activists for ruining Cowboy Bebop and wanted to get back at them and made them into a villain.
Could be all of the above. But yeah, Leslie, that's why, is that they don't know how to show a woman being independent of a man unless she is absolutely and totally independent of a man.
Or it's a self-insert and just to make themselves feel better.
That's true. Or, you know, you also got those women that are like, I'm straight, but I would totally be a lesbian if I was Lara Croft, and then they write that. So
yeah, they're from Tumblr. This is what happens. This is what happens when Hollywood hires people from Tumblr.
Well, and that's you know, traditionally, Kire, they're usually right about that strong women equal women need to be men. It's part of the worldview warfare. They're usually correct in that the strong female lead needs to be more masculine than feminine. They're usually correct in that. You don't get too many lollipop chainsaw protagonists. You know,
well, American media.
Yeah. You don't get too many of those that are still like carrying around the head of her boyfriend in a cage, like that Batman comic that. Oh wow, Batman is lollipop chainsaw. I didn't put that together. How about that? I don't think Bruce would look good in a cheerleader outfit, though. I don't think that's him. But yeah, of course. Well, Leslie, it's an important question to answer because it's going to continue happening more and more and more. If they do decide to do a Wonder Woman movie, expect it to be full-on softcore lesbian porn. Just
well, it's Tom King that's writing it. Well, Tom King's writing the comics, so I mean,
yeah. And it'll be painfully on the nose that they are lesbian and that she hates men and that men are mistakes and this sort of thing. Because he's that divorcee. He's that type of divorcee, you know, that internalized all the problems with his relationship and decided to take it all out on the world. DZ3 says, Lara Croft is already independent. Wrong IP to establish an independent woman. Yeah, well, you know, she's not independent enough. Now, is she, right? Right?
We never think it is.
Well, that's just it, is that they have to do this. They have to push Wonder Woman into this realm of lesbianism because they've gone so far out of their way. Look, Leslie, I don't know if you know this, but in a recent set of comic books, it was described that the Themyscirans go out and they rape men. They rape them and then kill them, and then the boys that are born are sold to Hephaestus, into slavery to Hephaestus in exchange for weaponry. That's the Wonder Woman that DC's like, this is a good person. That's what they do, okay? So that's where they're going to begin. Like page 1 with this script is going to be some sex-slaved man that's tied down because it's Tom King. It'd be some sex slave man that's tied down in the opening scene, and Hippolyta takes advantage of him, and that's how Wonder Woman is consummated. It has nothing to do with her being made out of stone. You wait.
I blame Nerdigans for this. I think this is her fault.
What'd I do?
You're a weeb, and then Tom King and whoever wrote crap like this is all pandering to your generation. And I think we can all agree.
They're pandering more so to Zoomers than my generation or the younger millennials. Like people my age.
You're not that old of them in the millennial.
Hey, we're on the old. I think I was born '89. We're like the older side of the millennial.
Like if you trip over 2 years, you're right in there with the Zoomer. So let's
the Zoomers are like in the 90s. Like my brother is closer to being a Zoomer than I am.
You.
His reaction was just ew.
So,
Yeah.
Leslie, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is Nubia, and she has a penis. That is canonical. That is a trans woman, a man in woman-ish presentation, living on Themyscira with a penis. Yes. Yep. And yes, and of course she's wearing the Wonder Woman getup because anybody. It's just a name. Who cares? So there you go. So now, like everybody was like, haha, Whitey's getting what's coming to him. I was like, well, hey, now it's your turn, fellas. Now it's your turn. Nubia is going to take over being the black icon from Black Panther. Nobody's going to know who Black Panther is in a few years. It's going to be all about that Nubia dick. You know? Had to get that Michelle Obama representation into the comics. But we are at the end of Tokyo Happy Hour. That concludes some of the anime conversation. There will be more in just a little bit here. So we have a brief intermission as we run another intro here for 01. And Spencer won't be joining us. He is on the opposite side of the planet fighting demons down in the guts of volcanic hell somewhere in the Pacific. And I believe Josh is on another planet altogether. Like he's just flat out gone to Mars in search of ancient video game technology. So anyway, we'll catch you on the other side of the intro.
Every step I take, reclaiming what's my right. Believe in me, I'll fight forever. Believe in me, I know it's all I need to break through to our destiny. To our destiny. Believe in me, I'll fight forever. Believe in me, I know it's all I need to break through to our destiny.
I don't have a beer, but we're popping something tonight because Star Wars is dead and it's never coming back. Let's go, baby.
Somehow the Acolyte stands did the impossible. They're more racist than the Genshin boycotters.
Amandla Stenberg has huge boobs, and they just hit him as best they could. They just toweled him down, tied him down, whatever. This has got to stop. The boob oppression has to come to an end in Hollywood. This moratorium on titties has to end. You understand? It's over with.
Honestly, I would blame her for that because, like, the second people realized that she had big boobs, she was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm like non-binary lesbian or whatever the case is now." So it's like I'm one of those, and then immediately everyone's like, "Oh, okay, the milk's spoiled." So,
yep, the milk
welcome
has
everyone.
spoiled.
This is the 01 podcast. Apparently, I'm hosting now, which is weird because it wasn't what I was expecting. I was just like sitting over here trickling on ESPN scores, and then all of a sudden I'm here in Center Square. So we're joined here tonight by our lovely guests of regulars here joining us here. We got our good buddy Nerdigans. How's it going there, Nerdigans?
I'm still bombasted by the fact that that the Acolyte stands outdid the Genshin boycotters in terms of racism. Oh my god. And the Genshin boycotters, if you've seen them on Twitter, they are extremely racist.
Let me ask you just a quick question. When was the last time anyone has actually referred to you as Packer Girl?
On Twitter, constantly.
Just on
And,
Twitter? Okay.
and on my YouTube channel too, in my comment
Okay.
section.
Like I say, it feels like that, or we always see the alias like on there, but we never refer to you as that. Probably the first time in like a year that you've been on the show that we've actually said, "Oh yeah, by the way, that's Packer Girl," just in case you
Yeah.
guys forgot.
Yeah, yeah, that's because that's been my alias since I started my Twitter, my Twitter in 2012 and my YouTube channel in 2015. I've even gone on NFL Network as Packer Girl too, so twice.
And joining us down here in the silo is the guy who should be running this show, our good buddy Sire. How you doing tonight, Sire?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I just try to keep an order here. You know, I try to keep an order to things. My apologies. I am the
Mhm.
one pushing the buttons and all that jazz, but I figured, Jacob could sit in the Johnny Carson seat. Isn't gonna hurt him.
Well, I mean, this is great because first of all, I don't know what the topics are, nor can I point to them. So I'm just gonna go here randomly off the cuff. So I'm gonna turn this into a Craig Kilborn show here tonight. In case you guys have realized, Spencer is not here with us tonight. Apparently, he is somewhere in Korea. He's trying to relearn his origins, so that way he'll come back as Fire God Spencer for the next time we see him on this show. Because that was a recent retcon that Warner Brothers approved of, so he has to sit kayfabe here for a couple of weeks and then come back better than ever before. And then Josh is probably somewhere lost in the islands of the Congos or something like that. I don't know. No one has heard of them. But
Islands
outside,
of the Congos.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's a thing, right? That's certainly a thing.
Sure. Just like all that skiing in Texas. Yep.
Yes, there we go. And until then, you guys are here. There's a bunch of people in the chat already here listening to this. We have RJ McReady, Tactus Jones, Leslie Tarkin, and a bunch of other people, because most of you guys, I don't really know your names. So but we enjoy you guys being here. Here for a Wednesday night, and I'm pretty sure you guys are all here because of me. That's the only reason anyone is watching the screen right now. So outside of that, I guess we're gonna go ahead and hit our first topic of the night. Isn't that right, Cider?
Yep, we're going to hit the first topic tonight. And guess what we're going to talk about? We are talking about Black Myth Wukong being like the knockout home run of single player games like ever. According to the Steam online player count, Black Myth Wukong, in its first hour and 45 minutes of being for sale, surpassed all other live user games. So what that means is that concurrently there were 1.7 million people playing Black Myth Wukong within 1 hour and 45 minutes of its release. So there you go.
Yeah, so like I said, obviously I'm not the biggest gamer out here, but I do know the big difference here, and I know a lot of these games, and am glad to see that single player games in some sense is kind of making a comeback, because we were in the dark ages there for a long time. Once everyone was essentially trying to be like Call of Duty, and I followed that business model for a while, because that they were the biggest group in town. So it's like almost everyone just forgot. It's like, hey, there was a time period. I'm not sure if you guys know this. It's like literally decades where people play video games without online player. And if you can guys make video games more like that, that'll be great. And the whole industry was just like, nah. And now here we are returning back to that turning back to that time frame now, where it's like, yeah, anything that can avoid, like I said, multiplayer, 8-year-olds calling you the N-word and a crap ton of microtransactions, that'll be great if we can get back into that. And don't do like the NetherRealm thing. That's a whole other conversation we can have later on, though. But what do you think about this, Nerdigans?
I'm glad to see this trend come back, because let's be real, like this started in like 2008 was when the online multiplayer trend kicked off.
I want to say it was around Modern Warfare 2, which I want to say was somewhere around that time frame of like maybe 2009, 2010, somewhere in that realm.
I was gonna say Halo 3 started it, and then it really kicked off with Modern Warfare.
To a degree, that's correct. Yeah, Halo definitely was one of the early adapters, but yeah, I think Modern Warfare took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, and then after that, it was like Activision just pumped out a game of Modern Warfare like every year, and then that's when people were starting to get really sick of it. But to see, like, as someone that is a player of single players, I'm really happy to see this. This is something I'm hoping that this also will bring back the return of local co-op, like offline co-op. I think
Mhm.
that would be nice to have, and not just like 2-player co-op, but like actual like up to 4-player co-op would be nice to have again, because that would bring people back to the living room. And God damn it, it makes me think of South Park, that episode of South
And
Park.
then, of course, the glaring problem that the gaming journals pointed out: there's not enough diversity and inclusion in this game.
Oh God, that was so
If
funny.
you could fix that, that'd be great for me and my sensibilities. Don't forget, I'm
Well,
trans disabled.
there's no trans disabled character in Black Myth Wukong. So, Leslie Tarkin asked a little earlier about this. I just want to scroll up to it because we lost it. There you go. So, Black Myth Wukong is about the Son Goku story of the King of the West. Monkey theme, monkey physical sort of looking hero is a minor sun god and up against various mythological trials. If you could imagine Trials of Hercules, but with a definite Chinese bend, you've
Yeah.
probably got it. You probably got it. Wukong, the game itself is meant to take a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls, but it doesn't borrow like the functional mechanics of it. It sort of borrows the bleak world that your character is slowly beating back as you play through the game. As mentioned by Kire Runte, is that it's a bit Gnostic. It kind of like dances around the idea that there is a grand creator that has all of this working together for some purpose. It wants to acknowledge that, but as usual, the Tao and most of the Oriental religions don't directly reference
It's
the creator.
Eastern religion. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And that's where most of like Wukong's mythology comes from, is the Chinese mythology sort of obeys a lot of the morality there, which, Christians might not be so at home in, but it's not a game that's asking you to adopt the Tao. It's only
Mhm.
asking you to enjoy playing a monkey man beating the hell out of a giant crab. So
Mhm. I demand you worship Monkey Man as your Lord and Savior. It's like, I'm in the loading screen.
yeah, right. That's it's like this big long paragraph about in the beginning there was Monkey Man and nothing
Mhm.
else. And Monkey Man decided there would be
In the
Earth and
beginning, it was
banana.
Monkey.
Yeah.
Monkey,
Return
monkey.
to Monkey. But yeah, Black Myth Wukong developers' history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West. Not at all, in fact. What happened is that IGN deliberately mistranslated a very common phrase in China that describes how women get in the way of things.
Mhm.
And
You hear
so,
that, nerdigans?
well, she is in the middle here, so. But so the situation we find is that they were absolutely backwards about this because as we showed you, there's over 2 million players of this right now and growing. And as they've demonstrated with the game itself, it's not out here to try and reprogram our politics. It's just out here to say, hey, do you want to play Monkey Man? We have Monkey Man game. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. It broke Steam records. I expect this to have a full-on franchise. Seeing this success, I think you're going to see at least a Netflix animated movie within the next 2 years based on this, if not a full-blown franchise born out of it.
It wouldn't be surprising at all at this stage. I mean, it seems like they're just looking for any kind of reason to turn anything into a franchise. So it's like moderate success. Let's jump on it while it's hot.
Well,
that
they
is-
just don't have anything. There's nothing like Vertigans was pointing out earlier about Shonen Jump. Their heavy hitters are done. They don't have anything coming up that has as much lightning in its punches as My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen. They've gotten rid of Demon Slayer 2, and now it's just reruns of the old sports manga that have come back, and it's a bit
Well,
much, you know?
Well, in the case of like sports manga, Slam Dunk came back because the first Slam Dunk hit theaters, and the mangaka Imwa directed it. So obviously it's going to do well, and that's why there's the resurgence of Slam Dunk. But Blue Box and Sakamoto Day sell really well. I'm still surprised Blue Box sells really well. I'm not a fan of Blue Box, but the Elusive Samurai, which is by the Assassination Classroom mangaka Matsui, that with the anime out, and the anime is popular, so I'm hoping that manga, like with Demon Slayer, takes off. So there are heavy hitters in there. It's just it's just going to be a little bit before you get something like Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia. Because as I said, Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer didn't kick off, didn't like go off until their anime came out. And Demon Slayer, people were saying that Demon Slayer was going to get the axe before its anime came out. And Jujutsu Kaisen, people didn't think the series was going to be liked at all before its anime came out. So
Yeah, and one of the things I want to point out is that as we witnessed here with the statistics just back on the first one, Elden Ring did not beat Black Myth Wukong.
that's
right.
insane considering how popular Elden Ring was. I'm surprised Elden Ring
Correct.
didn't beat Cyberpunk.
Well, and so
You think it just has a little bit to do with the fact that it's been out for a while, so maybe it didn't measure up to the newer one?
no, Elden. This is what they're talking about when it showed up. Its largest concurrent player count to
Okay.
date was 953,000, whereas
Again, I'm
Wukong's
surprised.
largest was actually 2 million now. Now we over here 2 million. Now, what you can say about this is that it could too also be Chinese players that are using VPNs that are
That's true.
contributing to this, that it may not be sales in the West that are driving this entirely. It could also be VPN users in China. And as you know, there are 1 billion people, 4 billion, 3 billion people in China. So it's not like 1 million people wouldn't use a VPN and access this just as a statistical anomaly even, you know? That's the kind of thing that people kind of miss about this is that, yeah, there could be 2 million people playing it, but it might not be on US servers, you know? Might not be on Western servers. But speaking of things coming to the West, this is something we kind of skipped over in Tokyo Happy Hour because we were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen and all these strange anime that might not get made. Macross Shooting Insights coming over here. So if you guys like mech games where you're going to go out and play transforming giant robots that's not Gundam and not Transformers, you've got Macross coming through. And apparently you get a game sleeve, art book, and the acrylic stand featuring the champion mechs, the hero mechs from the story. So if you're into that, you get it right here, the collector's edition coming through.
Well,
But yeah.
1 second. There we go. Yeah, no. I'll say this, and look, you guys know this if you've listened to this like long enough for me. I understand why these things like sell. I still have a PS3, which by the way, the heater thing on it, it's busted. I gotta get that repaired for like the 3rd time. So now I'm just asking myself if I should tap out. But I mean, video games have become so expensive. I understand why they're trying to do it in kind of like these packages, because in their estimation, they're thinking to themselves, well, if we're gonna jack up the prices, which essentially they are doing now, it's like absurd. It's like, well, hey, why don't we give them something to at least make the customer feel like he's getting something out of essentially being robbed blind. And
Yep.
that's how you're getting stuff like this.
Well,
Yeah, I
you
mean-
notice it with the new AI stuff that they're offering. They're going to give you all this free email stuff, all this free stuff. It has nothing to do with the product itself. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, not at all. But that's the world that we live in now, unfortunately. So I mean, I don't know what more you can say about it. I don't want to. No, go back.
Okay, I just wanted to address this. Meteor Advocate Timon, member of the channel, asked where is Redbeard, and I assume he's talking about our good friend Spencer, who sports a red beard. As I said earlier,
He's somewhere in the mountains in Korea, learning to up his power level in the hyperbolic time chamber. So
Yeah, Kim Jong-un finished the hyperbolic time chamber, and
Mhm.
Spencer took it by force.
he's trying to free his ancestors from the oppressive reign of Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, Kim Jong Frieza. There we go.
Mhm.
Kim Jong Frieza. That's gonna become a thing.
That's gonna stick.
That's gonna be a thing. Speaking of being a thing and sticking, Amazon MGN Studios would like to let you know there's a trigger warning.
Oh wow! It's for a movie that I have to watch and review in a couple of days. Yay!
Well, here's your pre-trigger warning, Jacob. We are proud to finally share Blink Twice with audiences in theaters worldwide this week. Blink Twice is a psychological thriller about the abuse of power. While this is a fictionalized movie, it contains mature themes
Sure
and
is.
depictions of violence, including sexual violence. This
Oh,
may
no.
be upsetting and triggering for some viewers. For resources that offer support, please visit blinktwiceresources.com. So just before we get into it, I just want to draw your attention. They have made a website to help people who watch this movie get over seeing this movie. Okay.
So two things are happening here. One, because a lot of people don't even know the context of this film at all, so let's kind of rewind it just a little bit. Zoe Kravitz, who I guess is now dating Channing Tatum, who's also in the movie, she is
Yeah.
writing and directing this film called Blink Twice, which I believe at one point in time was entitled Pussy Island, and then it got pretty much 86th. So because there's no way that we're gonna have moviegoers ask for, yeah, I want a ticket to Pussy Island. That wasn't gonna work over. But when you watch the trailer itself, and this is something that we noted a few months back ago on the Barroom podcast, is that when you watch the trailer, the setup here is that a couple of women meet a rich guy at a bar or some kind of like gathering and get up. He says, "Hey, you want to come to my private island and come party and all these things?" And of course, because no, it's a rich guy with his own island. Yeah, let's just go travel there. So that's exactly what they do, and they spend a few days with this person. And then after a few days pass, they realize that the island is not exactly what they thought that it was going to be, right? And a lot of people pointing out right away after watching the trailer to this is like, there seems to be a lot of parallels here to this in Epstein Island. Now, obviously, there's no reference of children, at least that we know of, go to this film, but the whole idea of this uber rich elite person in his own private island where things such as sexual assault and or murder happen. It's like, a lot of parallels there, and we all know that Hollywood is known for essentially creating a movie that they deem to be fiction, that they are totally like they present it to you as fiction. It's like, oh, don't worry, stuff like this totally doesn't happen here in real life, right? So and even in the trigger warning, like that mention, it's like, no, don't worry, all the stuff in here is fiction. It's like, well, it's a movie, right? Wouldn't you just assume that it's fiction because it's a movie? So why do you have to tell us even further that, hey, by the way, this is fiction? So what leads me to think about this, and like I said, we'll watch this film tomorrow and review it on Friday, is that they took a lot of, let's say, inspiration from things and stories revolving Epstein Island and turned it into a movie so they can kind of reframe it as like, oh, none of this stuff really happens in real life. This is all just fictional Hollywood movie magic. Written and directed by Zoe Kravitz, which I don't know why she has credentials to write and direct her own film. That sounds absolutely nonsensical to me, but that's aside the point. So the fact that they're throwing out a trigger warning is because I feel like they know that when this film does come out, there's going to be a lot of Twitter discourse about some of the things that happen in this film, and people are going to be like, wait a minute. And they're trying to get like ahead of what they think is going to be the potential outrage to this movie. Now, perhaps I'm a little bit wrong, but considering the fact that we covered this a couple of months ago and now MGM is releasing a trigger warning for a thriller movie, which, let's be honest, when's the last time they ever done that or felt the need to do that for any kind of trigger warning? So let's be honest, if it's violence that you guys are worried of, there was more violence in Deadpool versus Wolverine. And there wasn't no trigger warning going into that. So what can possibly be in this movie that's gonna trigger people? Like what's actually happening here? Like something's not right on the surface. What do you think, Cider?
Well, as I am just observing what's available here now, I don't want to show the trailer to this because, again, if they're saying there's a trigger warning out there, I don't want to tempt YouTube with live stuff, you know.
Like, let's do it.
And so, basically, what I get out of this, though, is that this is one of those. Who is the guy that Eli Roth likes to do his horror porn? He likes to
Yeah.
do that gore porn. Really, is more what it is. It's torture porn. And that's probably what this is that Blink Twice is probably going to have a lot in common with Hostile. That there will be a lot of drawn out torture scenes where people are gruesomely harmed. And that's what this is. And it'll probably involve like terrible, painful sex happening at the same time. Or they may go full on and you know, mutilate genitalia. And that might be the sexual violence that they're talking about.
But remember, guys, it's all fiction. People, especially rich people, do not do this on the privacy of their own islands in real life. So we want to make sure that you guys truly understand this.
Will Blink Twice be the Eyes Wide Shut? Now there's another one. Blink Twice, Eyes. A lot of references of seeing things you shouldn't see.
Well, I mean, hey, right here in the photo, right in front of everyone's faces, you got Channing Tatum here. He just so happens to have one eye covered, and even the girl in the picture just so happens to have one eye covered. Go, do your own search on your own time about celebrities who are always taking pictures with one eye covered. It's almost as if it's right directly in your face.
It's always the right eye too.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Isn't that just a little bit weird? How in both his picture and her picture, it's the right eye that's covered.
Yep.
It's just weird. But,
Nah,
but don't
it's
look
not okay.
don't look into it because you don't want to be one of those wacko conspiracy theorists. You know.
Well, and that's just it. Is I think we're going to see a lot of these movies coming out too now that the foreign productions are able to express themselves a little more openly after the victories of that Korean movie with the stalker family living in their home, and then
Mhm.
the Godzilla movie getting the Oscar there. So I think we're
Yeah.
going to see a lot more of this, and there will be outside opinions on Hollywood. There will be outside opinions on American behavior. So you'll probably see more movies that are like this that depict just how awful the world views us.
Mhm.
You got to remember, Americans are pretty notorious for going around and murdering people in other countries. We're,
Yep.
we're pretty notorious for that. In fact, taking people from our country to another person's country specifically to murder them. And that's pretty popular among the rich people.
Yeah.
And so
And
there's gonna be a lot of that.
I also remember here, it was just a year or two ago where we had this whole massive controversy about The Sound of Freedom, a movie that was raising awareness to human trafficking going on around the world. Now, that film was only in the scope of like what was going on in South America, like countries where the cartel run things, right? So here you have a movie about the other type of sex trafficking that nobody wants to talk about, which is the sex trafficking of adult women who, like I said, end up being playthings for rich, wealthy elites in other countries and stuff like that. And like I said, I wish I could say that, sex was the worst thing that goes on behind closed doors, but I fear that probably isn't.
Nope. No, and I think we're probably going to end up seeing more of that too. With what Mel Gibson is working on and the other anti-Hollywood groups are generating for real life content with their exploration of child trafficking
Mm-hmm.
in south of the border in particular. Um, we're going to see a lot more horror unfold, you know. And especially, we just heard Donald Trump today announce that he will put um, child abusers to death
Yep.
for their crimes. So we're going to see a lot of misbehavior very quickly. A lot of people freaking out. A lot of people doing the Tom Hanks thing and rushing to non-extradition countries in order to escape their fate. So
Yeah, isn't that weird how that just happened and then you just didn't hear about it anymore? Yeah, that's a weird little story, right?
well, Leslie, this scares me to death, but here in Maine, we have the lowest crime rate in the entire nation. I believe, anyway. Vermont may have us beat by a point or two, but
Mm-hmm.
we have no gangs here. The gangs are so small, the police can't even run funding drives to fight them. There's no gang. If they are, they're just like middle schoolers that like bully kids out of giving in their Pokemon cards. And that's it. There's no established organized crime in Maine, but Portland, Maine, where I live, is the third or second most dangerous city in New England for kidnappings. And these girls are taken right off the street here and they're taken to Saudi Arabia. It's only an hour and 40 minutes by boat down to Boston. If you're booking it, you just book it right down the coast. It's a straight line down into Boston. You're good to go. 2 hours maybe. You go by car, it's 3 hours. Highway speeds, and you're gonna end up being able to get out of town before anybody really knows that kid's missing, and they're gone forever. They're gone, and
Yep.
that's I wouldn't say it's exclusively to south of the border. American kids are in high demand. You know, it doesn't have anything to do really with the innocence factor. It has to do with the fact that I have a pet American, and that's what it is. It's more about having a pet American than it is about a child. You know.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that's the way that I look at it. Knowing the context of the film and even what you guys just saw in the poster alone, I think they're more worried about people coming to the wrong conclusion watching like a movie like this. Like I said, remember what we were saying? How many times we said it here? The worst thing you could possibly do is notice patterns. That's the worst thing that you can do. That's bad.
Well,
Don't notice stuff.
if they're gonna put it out, that's the other thing that you got to think
Mhm.
about. If it's this graphic, if it's this suggestive that they're going out and doing like beforehand things, you have to understand what they're going to try and do with this is paint a very specific political tilt to it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't know how they're going to get Christianity involved in this, but I guarantee you there will be some type of Christian priest that's in charge of all of it. Some
They'll
pastor,
find
some
they'll find some Roman Catholic priest so they can be like, ah, see, it's them. It's always been them.
it's the Catholics, and that's the
Mhm.
movie will place it on like some religious group. Could be Baptist, could be, Seventh-day Adventist, somebody who has a Christian cross as part of their iconography. They'll be blamed for
It's
this.
like, if you recall, a number of years ago, Hollywood came out with the film Spotlight, which is supposed to be like them exposing the sexual abuse in the Roman Catholic Church, and they were doing it in a way to see the biggest problem here is like them, and then you have to like stop it and like, wait a minute, like you're Hollywood, like you really don't have any room to point the finger at anyone else regarding this issue, and imagine all the things that have been revealed to us in the movie came out about 7 years ago, all the stuff that's been revealed to us in the course of the 7 years about that exact industry, as they were trying to point the finger at other people, be like, no, see, they're the ones who have problems with kids. It's like, you sure about that?
Now, RJ, I don't think bagel appreciators are in that bad shape in Hollywood. So I don't
Yeah,
see them being roped into being the bad guys here.
at least not yet. So they still got hold over the industry for the most part. But yeah, that
For
time
now.
might be coming up soon as well. So who knows?
Well, the DNC protests haven't got totally violent in Chicago, but they are
Oh, yes, they
edging that
have.
way.
No,
yeah,
they have.
They got into a
Oh
fight.
yeah, they yesterday, or I should say over the past few days. I love being part of the protest community. Over the past few days, there has been violence, but the Chicago PD, unlike it's like say in 2020 or hell even earlier this year, they weren't told to stand down, so they actually got to kettle them. And last night they kettled them at the Circle K. It was actually kind of funny to watch. There was no freedom fog, but they just held them and arrested them. I don't remember how many were arrested though, but yeah, there were quite a few arrests.
Isn't that interesting? A bunch of people can nearly burn down a courthouse in Oregon, of course, across almost a month of rioting out in front of that place, but 10 minutes of goofing off in front of the DNC and you're going away.
Well, Portland, it's because you have a corrupt DA. I know because several of my friends that were filming the riots
Yeah.
informed us about it. But yeah, the DA there, it's all, if you have a corrupt DA like they do in Portland, yeah, that's going to be what happens. It tends to happen. But
Well,
once
it's
you get
only a
that
matter
DA,
of time before the nation gets their own corrupt DA. Then it's going to be every man for himself.
Kamala is just a horrible person. She better not win, or you're all in trouble, or we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I think everyone's in trouble at that point.
Well, speaking of being in trouble, the main event here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Oh, the coping and seething has been so
You
funny.
are coping and seething. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yeah, you're coping and seething.
And the Genshin boycotters are children.
Mhm.
And they have admitted, like one of them admitted that they stole their parents' credit card for Genshin. Like they couldn't quit their Genshin addiction. They reinstalled Genshin, and they admitted they stole their parents' credit card. They were nearly homeless because of their addiction. I'm dead serious.
Mhm.
And they're racist as hell, these Genshin boycotters. But man, the ACOLYTE stands just took it to another level. They're blaming YouTubers too.
Well, let's go into talking about exactly how this show that no one watched and the people who did watch it absolutely hated it ended up getting canceled after one season, and now the same people who only liked it because it pissed off a certain fan base are now trying to pretend like this was actually a good show the entire time.
Yeah, that we all just missed out because we were bigots. We didn't give it a
Mhm.
chance. That's the biggest complaint I've read, especially from the mainstream journals. Is that the show was just getting started. Season 2 would have just really taken off. It's just all these chuds and all these dude bros have defeated the original purpose, and it's a wash in hatred.
Just a bunch of bigoted Islamic Nazi phobes, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody hates everything that's not trendy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's their big takeaway. But we did have Mary Sue losing their mind over this. The Mary Sue. I just want to grab that one here. We had that one a little earlier. It's not. They have this sad little moment. They say, "Not really happy to see the worst people online win. Boo hoo, boo hoo." And this right here is an article we're gonna look at here. Disney is happy to let the toxic dude bros win, I guess. However, you'll notice there's no opinion tag tied
Well,
to this. So this is
just real quick.
news.
Just real quick. I can't believe they let the Do Bros win by canceling the show that they didn't like in the first place.
Yeah. Well, again, people who didn't like it obviously won here. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
what she's going off about. And the real thing that bothered me about this is that there's no opinion tag here. This is just straight up news as far as the Mary Sue is concerned. This is straight up news. No opinion here. And I don't know about you, but I don't think you can like any other journalism like genre. I don't think you can get away with just having like the DNC is happy to let toxic dude bros win, I guess, as like your news headline about what's going on at the Democratic National Convention. I don't think you can do that. But in this genre, in culture commentary, this is news. Just this screed of a cat lady losing her mind in we've blown it up for this, but size 12 Times New Roman font. This is a win for those toxic people. Bleh. Toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know you were toxic, Jacob, when you roll out of bed this morning? You're just toxic.
I mean, I just wake up and look in the mirror and be like, yep, I'm toxic still.
You're going to go out there and you're going to be toxic today, mister. You know
Mhm.
that? You're going to go out there and you're going to be the
Yeah.
most toxic
You're
man
going to go
ever.
out there, you're going to make somebody cry.
Be the reason somebody deletes their Twitter today.
Mhm.
That's right.
Or themselves, either or.
Well, we can't say that on YouTube, but
They can say themselves. That's ambiguous.
maybe. Depends on what pronouns they use.
Mm-hmm.
But
See, as long as you pause the sentence between certain phrases, you can get away with it.
well, and we did have Jacob Fisher, thanks to Miss Nerdigans out here hunting down the freakazoids, losing their minds over this. We do have Jacob Fisher, the EIC editor-in-chief of Discussing Film, coming out and having a rather emotional moment. He writes, "The Acolyte is basically the first live-action Star Wars series to have fully original characters, etc. The fact that it got the viewership it got is somewhat impressive in and of itself." No, it's not. 25
It
years
isn't.
Power Rangers was recycling the main team theme, color schemes even, and it worked somewhat. It's politics is mostly what killed it. And yet here we have the Acolyte, and they're like, "You guys don't like these lightsaber people, and it's your problem, okay? We created brand new characters, and that's why you hate the Acolyte. Not that it's a terrible, 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 terrible concept."
No.
I know it feels like maybe I'm jumping ahead just a little bit here, but at a certain point, you just have to ask yourself the question: how have people not been fired at Lucasfilm at this point?
That's a great question. And why are
Mhm.
these people not blaming Kathleen Kennedy? They were like, if you look at the fan letters from, and yes, there is. I can't believe they posted these fan letters. So there's this campaign called for hashtag like renew the Acolyte, and one part of the thing that is called hashtag renew the Acolyte letter writing campaign, and you could submit your letter for them to print and send to Disney and Lucasfilm. And they actually posted the letters on the website. I'm like, you really did. They really did. And some of them are so stupid.
Yeah, we'll look at those in a little bit. Got that pulled up too for the next little part here. But Jacob
yeah,
Jacob Fisher goes on here and he says streamers have become so much safer, meaning in their decision making of what to air, put money into, produce, whatever, that they're actually cutting their own legs off, not letting these shows foster with multiple seasons. At many other platforms, I'm assuming they're referring to the Chick-fil-A platform, the viewership that Acolyte garnered would have definitely warranted a season 2. Now, I just want to stop right there. You guys familiar with For All Mankind over on Apple TV?
no,
Okay,
not
so
watch
that's
Apple TV.
very briefly, it's the story of how the U.S. lost the space race against the Russians, and the space race continued. The Soviet Union didn't collapse, and so on into the early 2000s is how they play this alternate timeline of the U.S. and Russia continuing to compete on the scientific level, not militarily. And so that show is into its 4th season, and it boasts a lower overall long-term rating, a higher overall long-term rating than Acolyte did in its 1st season. Now, what I want to point out about that, why that matters, is that you two didn't hear about it. Okay, so this obviously is not a well-known anything. All right, it's not something that people are like, "Hey man, did you see that episode of For All Mankind last night over on the subway, on the bus, at work, or whatever?" So when you say that the Acolyte didn't get the attention and that it should be like surprise, oh, it's such good numbers. I just want to point out that Apple TV's weird little alternate history story is 4 seasons in and boasting better numbers in its 4th season than Acolyte did in its 1st.
Well, Lucasfilm, we kind of talked about this a little last night. For the last 10 years that they've been in creative control of this, what they've essentially tried to do is that they've essentially tried to kick out their male fan base and replace them with a female fan base. And the problem is that it's failed miserably. They've quite literally killed this brand called Star Wars. So like the damage that Kathleen Kennedy has done to Star Wars, that not only if she was fired today, it would still take them less than 20 to 25 years to repair the damage that she has done to the brand, to everyone's memory of because this hasn't just affected Star Wars, it's affected everyone associated with Star Wars. We don't look at Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill the same way. We don't look at Harrison Ford the same way. Carrie Fisher, everyone they now like Mando. That's not what's his name. Lando is now having sex with robots now. This is what we've done with the lore of Star Wars over the course of just 10 years, which seems like only a short period of time to screw things up this badly. But this is exactly what they've done, and now they expect people to get excited about this rotten Disney Plus show that no one watched, and it's already been canceled before anyone realized it was a thing. And then moving even forward now, it's like, hey, don't worry, we got Ray coming back for 3 movies. You think anyone's going to care about that? You think you're going to make $1 billion based on the new Ray appearance?
Yeah, $1 billion. You bet. You bet.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
He goes on and he says, I really don't like the direction that Lucasfilm is going in. You'll never impress the right-wing YouTuber crowd.
Oh, just pause, just right there. I really don't like the direction that Lucasfilm is going in. Oh, what? This is where you draw the line? After everything we've seen this is where you draw the line? Because a Disney Plus show that legitimately no one watched nor liked. Because it wasn't just a right-wing crowd. We all saw the numbers on social media. This thing got lambasted by absolutely everyone. There were normies who saw the lesbian space witch scene. They were like, what the hell is this? And then you tell them that it's Star Wars, and they were literally flabbergasted. Normies, people who have no skin in this game whatsoever, were like, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm. And he says, yeah, you'll never impress the right-wing YouTube crowd because they don't actually care about if the Acolyte is good or not. Well, yes. You heard Ryan Kinnell go over, what the helmet that this weird guy, the big bad in this show, was wearing. You also saw them explain how the abuse of force power that the Mandela Stenberg's characters were going through. And then we also found out that Filoni just green-lighted everything and walked Leslie Headland through everything. So it wasn't her by herself in a closet making all of this up. It was Filoni sitting down and Kennedy sitting down and giving her permission to go through all of this. And so that's that's what I want to point out here is that we do care if the Acolyte is good or not. And you can tell from a distance that it's not. It's very simple. And so he says stirring controversy around these shows has brought them tons of views, and canceling this show is, in this way, validates these YouTubers to some people as actual voices to be continuously listened to. And so what I wanted to say to that really quick is like, if your friend is like, hey man, it's raining outside, and you open the window, you stick your hand out, your hand comes in, it's wet, it's raining outside, and you go, wow, it's raining outside. And what do you know? That guy was right. Maybe it's okay to just accept that like it's so obviously bad that when somebody says it's bad, they're right.
But no, I can't, because that person is the worst person in the whole world, and I can't be seen agreeing with him. Dilemma.
Right.
It's literally the meme of the worst person, the worst person in the world made a point that you agree or something like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the worst persons in the world, I think Nerdigans here is sharing Alyssa Mercante.
No, this is some of the tweets that I found from these people. They're still coping. They're still seething today. And this, a couple of them that really stuck out to me is this one here. I just know they canceled the Acolyte because of those weirdos who don't wash their asses and have never seen the sun or felt the soft touch of a woman who loves them.
Jeez.
But then there's this one from the Ringer writer, Joanna Robinson, that really caught my eye too. Leslie Headland, the first woman to create a Star Wars series, tapped into something fresh and exciting in the fandom with season 1. And while I have my notes, she absolutely deserved a second season to let those ideas cook. We all lose with this. I'm like, what is she talking about? Really? But this though, I lost my, and I put this in my article about the situation. I had to. This, I just was like, what? Maybe if George Lucas had given women other than Princess Leia more than 63 seconds of speaking time in the original trilogy, Lucasfilms wouldn't be held hostage by the worst racist incel parts of the fandom. The Acolyte deserved better. These people are insane.
No, they have no idea about the lore of Star Wars, and they don't care to know, because like I said, their entire objective since the very beginning is to hijack a fan base. So they're trying to hijack a fan base away from the people who actually knew and respected the fan base, and they themselves know nothing about this thing whatsoever. So they just think like, oh yeah, the problem is that the only woman in this whole thing was Princess Leia, and we're still triggered about the slave Leia costume that came out almost 50 years ago. So we're still coping and coming up from our shortcomings based on that, because the slave Leia costume still bothers us so dearly. So
they're when I say they're blaming like racist, they're blaming racist, misogynist, all this crap, and this is why Spencer gave me the green light to write this article. I mean it. Like this one here, I'll never forgive the people who shitted on this show solely because there was no white man in it. Racism and sexism is going to be the end of all creative entertainment. They're saying all creative entertainment. Like
this is gaslighting. This is literal gaslighting. So what's going to happen is that when this whole thing actually does collapse, and it's going to collapse, in their mind, it's going to collapse because, oh, it's the Trump supporters killed it. We were doing fine until they came along and ruined everything. This is what they're doing. They're just gonna like throw the heat off of themselves, as if somehow we're not gonna know that these mongoloids who have been in control of Lucasfilm ever since Kathleen Kennedy got her grubby little fingers on it, have literally single-handedly killed arguably the most marketable franchise in Americana at that time period. I mean, we're talking about Star Wars at its height was much bigger than what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is today in modern times. This is something that's been around for over 50 years. That's so it's literally a merchandise king. Like you can literally like pull something out of your butt and put Star Wars on it, and people will buy it in droves. And now you've made it one of the most toxic brands in all of entertainment, and it's your own fault. So.
Then of course we couldn't. Of course, a former Kotaku AU game critic had to chime in on this too. Never seen a company so desperately averse to new fans and new ideas. Craven, myopic commitment to the worst kind of Star Wars consumer, and another win for slop. And then he says this too. And the Acolyte was an all but explicit olive branch to audiences who felt slighted by Rise of Skywalker and wanted diverse storytellers and stars in Star Wars. Canceling it is just so stupidly on the nose that I don't really know where we could go from here. This is why places like Kotaku, Australia, are getting shut down, is because of stupid crap like that.
Yeah, this is where we are.
Well,
Yeah, I
and,
mean,
was that Jakey?
just real quick, and it's like, what was anyone supposed to be impressed by the show? Because I've made this point a couple of times, and I'm just gonna say Amanda Steinberg, who we're talking about here, who like the only thing she even contributed to this entire discourse was an extremely cringeworthy spoken word rap song that she released on social media. Because like literally halfway in the season, like the season wasn't even over yet, she was already like had one in the chamber and that garbage thing. But she is still yet to be in a single thing that I will qualify as good, including this show now, since this has been canceled and done and over with. Everything she's ever starred in has been absolutely awful and absolutely boring, and it's just another black mark on, like I said, another entitled, self-serving, elitist twat who's only in the position that she's in right now because she identifies with the various letters of the LGBTQ plus, whatever the case may be.
Okay, I'm gonna end it on this one because we mentioned Kamala, so I have to. Truly stunning to watch alt-right crying man babies to go from questioning Kamala Harris's racial identity to making lists of every Star Wars actor with the slightest bit of non-white ethnicity to pretend their hate for Acolyte isn't racist, actually. I saw it this morning. I was dead.
And that's the thing too, and like you can tell they tried during the whole Acolyte thing to like really drum up like this racial division like between people by saying that, oh, it's the bigots and it's the phobes again. But it's like, you guys have been doing this excessively ever since The Last Jedi. When was The Last Jedi? It was like 5 years ago. For 5 years nonstop, you've been doing this about every single Star Wars property that's released. You said, oh, the only reason no one likes The Last Jedi because you're sexist. Oh, the only reason why nobody likes what was that other terrible show they just did not too long ago?
Are you talking about Book of Boba Fett or Andor? Or Ahsoka?
God, I forgot all about Andor. But no, I was talking about the other one, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Like everyone's all like, "Oh, you guys are attacking her because she's a black woman, and you've never seen a black woman before." It's like this hate marketing that Lucasfilm is clearly doing, where they're trying to jump ahead of all the criticism of their show by saying that, "Oh, well, the only people who are complaining about it hate black people and women, so don't listen to them. The show's great." And then like they've been doing this for so long now. Not only do people barely even like truly react to it anymore, people have caught on to their con. It's like, no, this is not going to work anymore. We all know what you guys are doing, where it's not going to work this time. This show sucks and no one's going to watch it. And here we are, not even a month after the show wrapped up, and it was like, yep, we're not doing another one of these. We're done here. So that was a year's worth of marketing and interviews and Leslie Headland and all the girl power BS nonsense talk and all the red carpets that ended up for absolutely nothing, outside the fact that you probably spent what, $200 million producing this crap when it was all said and done.
At least.
But like, they don't believe that the numbers are bad. They don't believe that the budgeting has anything to do with it. They think it's just, these people just think it's all racist, it's all bigots, it's all that. Like these people, and I think I would say even Leslie Headland probably believes it too, that like it's all because of racist BS that's why this show is getting cut.
Yeah, well, that's what the letters say over here on renewtheacolyte.com.
These people are so delusional. Oh my god.
So this totally real person, Tianya Powell, says, the show is what got me into Star Wars. Before the show, I never had an interest in the series, but it's gained my attention now. I felt like Star Wars never had enough to keep me interested, like romance or diversity.
Like I said, just stop right there. This is
This
stop
is
right here. These are the people who they're pandering to here. People who are like, I can't watch this show because there's too many white people on there for me.
no. This is who they're hold on.
Mhm.
This is who they're pandering to. Is the shippers. The toxic shippers is who they're pandering to, and it just said here, like romance or diversity, aka shippers.
Right.
Mhm.
Although the show is only 2 months old, it's gained and sustained a fandom, and it will only grow larger now that the season finale is out.
What,
Yeah.
fandom of bots?
Oh
don't see
no,
that
what
happening.
happened? Oh no, oh no.
Another totally real person, Lucia, would like to let us know that as a woman of color, Mexican, don't
Stop,
get it mixed
stop,
up.
stop. Just stop right there. If anyone starts a sentence like that in real life, punch him in the face immediately. You know,
In
whatever comes out
Minecraft.
is you know, at your own discretion. But yeah, no real person talks like that.
Yeah. Lucia, a very real person, does. And she would like you to know that she's a Mexican, not one of those other people of color, you know. It was about damn time that the main characters of Star Wars were ghost white. More Amandla Stanberg in exploring the powers she shared with her mother. More Khmer in revealing his real name. It better be Ren, BTW. Oh, I see. Knights of Ren. Ah, I see. Yes, very clever. For now, for every woman who is pushed out of fandoms for simply being a woman, this show is for us. If you dare take it away. Don't you dare take it away. Oh, it's too bad. No, too late. Nobody cared. But yeah, she's like, there's no women allowed in here now that the Acolyte's gone. You hear that, Leslie? You're not allowed to be a fan of Star Wars now that the Acolyte's gone. That went out. Jeremy over Geeks and Gamers, he signed the proclamation that women are now not allowed in Star Wars, period. So that's how it worked, you know? I called up Bob Iger and I said, hey man, you got to put a can on this Acolyte thing. He's like, hey, I didn't even know that was happening. And he sent a really nice box of brownies, you know? That's how it
Let's
goes.
ask a serious question here for a second. How much do you think South Park truly hurt this show before it came out? Because right before the show debuted, the South Park parody came out with the whole Kathleen Kennedy put a chicken in it and make it gay, and then literally just undercut their entire narrative that they were going to run with this whole show. Because now with South Park covering it is now mainstream. It's not just, oh, it's only the right-wing sexist trolls like on Twitter. Now everyone knows about it. So every single project that they do moving forward in Lucasfilm, where it's going to star a woman and it's going to have gay women in there, everyone's going to go refer back to that meme by instinct of put a chicken in and make it gay, and then start asking the question, how is this still a thing? Why are they still doing terrible content? How come Captain Kennedy hasn't been fired yet?
How indeed. And now another one. I don't want to say Gina. I think that's wrong. So it must be Gina, maybe? Hopefully that's what it is. This show is great. It has interesting characters and great storylines. I've never been so excited for a Star Wars show as I am about The Acolyte. It 100% deserves a second season. The writers and actors for the show are just amazing. Please, please, please renew the show. Very real commenter. Nobody in here is putting emojis in there. Nobody's saying like heckin' for real, totally valid, you know. Nobody's making spelling errors, grammatical errors. It's all just, you know, very supportive language. Not a lot of direct references. Interesting. I don't want to read all that. Wow, that's like a whole thing. So we got
Yeah,
Camila.
no, it's verbal waterboarding when it comes
Yeah,
to
Wait,
that's
is,
what-
was that the pansexual one? Because there was like a one that was like a straight up. There was a pansexual letter that was just like multiple paragraphs long, and I was just so overwhelmed by it.
I don't see anything that says.
No, not yet. Oh, you haven't gotten
pansexual.
to that one.
I
But
hope
yeah,
I
there was
never
one
do.
that was. Yeah, there was one that said that they were like they were a pansexual and a former Christian. I was like, oh god.
Totally
former
real
Catholic.
person Camila Tostes would like us to know that it was one of the best Star Wars things that I've ever experienced. My love for the franchise returned and it made me feel alive again. I was having an art block and now I'm inspired to make drawings about the characters.
Well, these aren't children like Genshin Impact, right? These
I
got to
have
be
no
my
idea.
moms. So that's the one. That's the pansexual one, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not reading that.
Yeah. That was so overwhelming.
It's a manifesto
As,
right
as,
there.
as my good friend Mansoor says, just put the fries in the bag, bro.
Yeah,
So-
Just put the
Fries in the
fries in the bag.
trying to find something that's here we go. Here's Philippe, with 2 P's. Because you just got to make sure that people know that the pip is over with. Philippe. Anyway, I love The Acolyte. I need a second season because I want to know more about the past of the connection between Vern and Camille and the role of Darth Plagueis rather, in all of that. Because as you know, we saw him voyeuristically poking his head out of a cave. So we know that that's real. So yeah.
There's like all these essays in here. It's like, what the hell? Like they put this all up there and they said they're going to print this and send this to Disney and Lucasfilms. They're not going to read that.
The series is honestly great. I love the action and the dueling scenes are so awesome. Me and my family are hooked and a second season is a must. The acting is great and the chemistry between Camille and O.R.C.A is brilliant. And the direction for this series was also very engaging. Totally real,
I've
Shreya.
seen I've seen some of these stands say that the action was better than anything in the prequels. I was like, stop. Stop. You are full of crap. You are lying. None of this stuff that was shown here in terms of action is better than anything that was shown in the prequels. Just no.
Richard Bell. Yeah, having a narrative centered on imperfect people, even those we consider heroes, understanding the complexity of different perspectives was a new, bold, and interesting approach.
That's what? That's nothing new.
I loved Soul, who was basically shown as a child molester and most likely did horrible, unspeakable things to O.R.C.A in order for her to choke him to death and become a Sith. Okay? She literally hated him so much, her lightsaber had its period and became an evil Sith lightsaber doused in period blood. I don't know.
He's
I
just
saw the
like
scene
me.
and it just looks like, the demonstration of those ads for the pads where they dropped the blue water on there to simulate, blood hitting it and absorbing through it. It just looked like that. Her time of the month leaked into her lightsaber. But yeah, Soul's a great character who was basically revealed to have this very odd and totally centered attraction on O.R.C.A as an adult. And Camille, who's basically a rapist. Just, you want to tear it back, And I really want to know what happens next. I'm sure there's a lot to explore, and it wouldn't be fair to the audience to leave it incomplete. With the utmost hope.
Yay.
Sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit. But
Yeah.
totally real Yasmin wants a renewal. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this. And then, thanks to Miss Nerdigans here, going out of her way and jumping into the lion's den, we have good old Lissa Mercante's dry hole taken and all.
Yes,
So-
yes, we do. Kitty, stop it.
Yeah, lightsaber
so
tampons.
Oh,
That's what
Alyssa
that-
Marquez is attacking Nerdigan's cat in real time.
Oh, did you see what happened at GameStop that someone posted or like was putting labels about on lightsabers trying to make them look like they were like anal yeah.
I'm not surprised by anything anymore. We're in the last days. Let's just get it over with.
And GameStop had to post GameStop posted a notice saying yeah,
Please
that,
do not jam these up your butt,
yeah,
you sick freaks.
basically.
Warning, these will break in your rectum. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You ever heard of one guy, one jar? Don't want that to happen to you? Don't do it.
It's like what is this? This is in 2008. Like, come on.
I have a worse joke, but we are on YouTube, so I'll say.
Yeah, The Kotaku senior editor, Alyssa Mercante. Now, of course, Nerdigans, you went through and isolated the good bits here, so we don't have to sit
Yeah.
through her long manifesto. Her
I go through all the insanity, and that's including like through the worst of the worst garbage, like through IGN, Mashable, Inverse, The Gamer, Kotaku, all of it. And somehow I have not lost all my brain cells or my sanity.
Well, Alyssa Mercante opens up with this and she says the Acolyte is yet another victim of the ballooning budgets, years long production times, and badly behaved fans. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Do you think she fantasizes about like tying Jeremy up and like whipping him for not liking the Acolyte? I think she does.
I think
She does.
she probably
showed
does for
up in
neurotic
well, she
and
showed
maybe
up in
hypnotic.
she showed up in her Hypnotics chat a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard
So
about that.
she's
Maybe
got it
she's
bad
thinking
for
about that.
VTubers, PNG tubers, whatever he is. She's got it bad for those guys. But
Yeah,
she writes in
probably.
her manifesto over here on Kotaku. Thank you again, Miss Nerdigans, for isolating this. She writes,
Yes.
the Disney Plus series dared to reevaluate decades old tropes, unpack the flaws of the Jedi Order, because that had never been done before, and play with the space sandbox setting in new and interesting ways.
Well, yeah, interesting ways being uh patriarchy and also new ships and fan fiction and all that. I mean, what else could you want?
Yeah.
And lesbian witches too, but
Well, and as she notes here, she was very enamored with Manny Jacinto,
yeah,
and
that's what a lot of them are. It's they love this. They love that man. And they're pissed off. That's the main reason I think a lot of these people are pissed off that this show got canceled is because they love Manny Jacinto.
I don't think they like him. I think they just like the fact that he played a character that didn't take no for an answer when it came to sensual things. And I think that's what we keep seeing over and over again is they idolize these characters that are rapey, you know? Dude just straight up kidnaps this woman and she's like, "You know what? On second hand,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they like the thing is women they don't like beta or soy boys or simps. They like someone that's aggressive. And I think
They're like
that's what it
somebody
is.
that murders their entire family in front of them and then kidnaps them and says, "You're joining my side now, bitch." Now that your
I
family's
literally
dead."
made this. I literally made this point on Twitter a couple of days ago. I think it was like Liz Wheeler was talking about like video games being a red flag for women dating men. It's like it's such an ick. It's like I think I literally responded. It's like, and this is why you guys end up dating serial killers, mass murderers, cheaters, liars, like domestic abusers, because you consider because you somehow in your mind you've come to the conclusion that the biggest red flag in a relationship is your man playing video games. That's what was more concerning out of all the other stuff in a relationship. It's like, sure, whatever you say.
It's magical. It's honestly magical to sit there and watch these people dance around their own words, as though they never said them. And this is it's like we were talking about with these Genshin kids that are a bunch of racists running around, that everyone in Africa's black, everyone in South America looks like they run a taco truck.
They
And,
do.
that they insist that that's how it's supposed to go. And the biggest problem is that this is translated into the adults, like with Alyssa Mercante, as we just read with her complaining that this fits what she wanted. She wanted a character that was going to basically be a Christian Grey style character inside of the Star Wars universe. They wanted a character that deprived their female lead of any agency, stripped her of any familiarity, and then tried to fuck her. And that's just their thing. They're like, "Oh man, I wish a man would come into my life and murder my whole family and then
So
try to fuck me."
essentially, they want a poor women's version of a sexual fetish written by an even worse version of a poor woman's sexual fetish. We're not even like watered down. Like this is basically like what 75% water and like a 25% Sprite. That's where we're at here with this.
No, I ask you, are they going to be as tolerant to a man writing a lesbian relationship as they were with Leslie Headland writing a heterosexual relationship? I don't
Hmm.
think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's a
Hey,
two-way street.
maybe men out there should just start writing stories about their sexual fetishes and see how that works out for
It
them,
works
right?
out for Japan pretty well.
I was going to
I
say,
can't
like,
argue that.
we kind of have like 60% of anime because of that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, Yowie's
so
written by women and Yuri's written
Would
by
it be
men
great?
too.
Would
So
it be great if I was locked in a mansion with like 6 like half elf, half human characters with giant boobs, and I can't have sex with any of them for 60 episodes? Wouldn't that be great? It's like, no, that sounds like hell. Like,
yeah.
why would you do that to yourself?
well, I mean, Rent a Girlfriend, the main character is still a virgin. And it's like over 200 chapters. Like over 200 chapters? Yeah, it's like 240
Hmm.
chapters now.
It gets to a point where it's like, is this a cry for help? Because this feels like a cry for
Or
help.
no, it's not 200. I'm sorry, it's 341 chapters, and the main character is
Oh,
still a
it's
virgin.
even worse. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
even worse.
speaking of bad decisions here as an adult, we have Alyssa Mercante. She says, a specific sect of fans are notoriously resistant to changes to lore or the centering of marginalized folks in the Star Wars media. And the Acolyte pissed them off from the jump. Run by a woman with a black non binary lead, lesbian witches, and a blistering take of the flaws of the Jedi. Yeah. And you're muted.
Okay, cause I thought she for a second it said with a black woman non-binary. Like you do realize those things contradict like one another, right? But it's like, yeah. But yeah, here's their whole spiel. It's like, yeah, they didn't like this show because it had a black non-binary lead and lesbian witches and all the flaws and the good guys of the story that's been pretty much self-established for 50 years. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly why no one liked it. Like, just because you say the thing does not mean that the thing is not true. Like, that's exactly why no one liked this series. It's like you try to essentially turn the historical good guys of the story into the bad guys, and you try to make the good guys of the story like lesbian space witches in there who force created a non-binary black individual, and somehow people didn't like that because it's stupid.
Well, and again, none of this, she's talking about changes to the lore. And that's chiefly what the biggest problem with the Acolyte was that it's set in. This is what fan fictioners do. And I again, if you guys want me to do like a whole like theory on like video on how fan fiction theory works and how it applies to Hollywood now, I'll absolutely do that. But it's a really long subject, so I'll just try to condense it really quick. What it is that first and foremost in fan fiction is you don't deviate from what exists. What you do is you find a hole somewhere in the lore and you try to draw out an entire saga out of that teeny tiny little gap. And that's what happened here is that and poorly so because we were seeing characters 100 years before they were born brought into this story. But what happened was Leslie was like, "Oh yeah, this Kodor thing isn't really that well explored in live action media. Let's just sit down and try to tell a story about everything that happened before the Skywalkers were ever even conceived." You know? And that's typically how fan fiction works. Now, Hollywood is embracing this because this allows them to create media that they don't have to pay royalties on to people who wrote things like the Thrawn saga, the Thrawn trilogy, people that wrote the stories that you actually like and enjoy. They just bring people in that look through Wikipedia and go, "Oh yeah, that's a place where I can stick a softcore rape scene," and that's what they do. They write a saga about that.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Again, I can make a longer video about it. You guys let me know and I'll do that. But for right now, that's the gist of it is Hollywood's investing in these fan fictioners because they can accomplish royalty-free Star Wars content, other movie content. So that's why they're so happy to have people who don't know a damn thing about the property.
Well, they've been doing it for like what since 2016. That's when they started really investing into Tumblr fan fiction.
maybe a little earlier than that, the CW shows had quite a few Tumblritis problems, particularly Supernatural towards its end had quite a few Tumblritis problems.
Why couldn't they just invest in Angel Fire writers? At least they put out good content. Right, Kitty?
I mean, the
Mr.
bar is
Fluffy
so
Kitty.
low now. I can't even argue against it.
And Alyssa goes on to say, when a modern TV series takes place in a long-running franchise and dares to offer a different kind of fan service, the sad reality is it will likely serve as a reminder of how far the fandom still has to go.
Yet they attack anime fan service when it does different types of fan service all the time. It's very frustrating. The irony in that. It actually kind of makes them come off as xenophobic, not gonna lie.
Well, they're again, they preach all this anti-racism, and yet at the very tippity top of their mentality is
They
a
hate small
purification.
Asian people. Yeah,
Right.
we get it.
Right. Well, some of it anyway. And and
There's my
again, if
stuff.
you'd like to help Miss Dirtigans out, feel free to get in touch with her through PayPal, Patreon, or the Cash App, as available in her bio right here.
And I'm having fun posting, like, I love posting Zeno, like, roaring at Ray and doing all this stuff. I'm having fun doing that, making my donation tweets as funny and silly as possible. And Zeno's doing his job too, right, kitties?
Dirtigans, have you ever considered getting a dog?
No,
Like a black Labrador?
no, they're really messy.
Yeah, well, they're dogs.
No, I like my kitty. He's my baby. He's my therapy kitty.
Yep, that's a way to help out the kitty through Nerdigans, PayPal, Patreon, and Cash
What
App.
if I only want to help the cat and not the woman? Is there a way that I can bypass that operation and just solely help the cat?
Right. Be too weird, right?
Just send Nerdigans like a $30 like gift card of like puree.
Leona Rad asks, are they still going to try to do the Ray film, the Ray trilogy? And yes,
They've already announced it, so I mean they can't go back on it now.
Kind of like the Ryan Johnson trilogy, Can't go back on it. Even
But it's
though
like
not
they've
gonna happen.
officially brought her. Oh, I mean, then again, I mean, let's be fair here. I mean, Marvel officially announced that they were going to have Marshall Ali be Blade, and here we are 5 years later, and that film still hasn't seen the light of day.
We'll never see it because of the Wesley Snipes curse. I called that shit ages ago. You all laughed at me. I was right.
Yep. In the end, that's what it was about. We do have people who are upset about the Acolyte being canceled from TikTok, so it's going to be fun. All right. So feel free to order your Chick-fil-A chicken if you're feeling comfortable. Available soon on the Chick-fil-A streaming app.
So the Acolyte was canceled.
It's definitely because incels didn't like two people of color holding hands.
Yeah, that was it. I can't tell you. When I see two black people interacting with each other, I just want to blow up the planet, man. It's over. The whole human race is over, Gosh, you see an Asian man and a black woman just appreciating each other's existence, and you gotta bring the sky down. Just can't happen. Just can't exist.
Nope.
We're not gonna forget that.
I hope. I hope you
Don't
never
forget it. Write it down. I don't give a fuck.
Write a letter.
Hey, write a letter to on the website.
We're not gonna forget that.
They've hit the second tower.
They hit the second tower. Dude, this is the 9/11 for Raylos.
Wow. That's what was the first tower? You just do that, by the way, on TikTok. You could just put some audio on and stare blankly into the background, and people go, "Wow."
It was set up to fail from the beginning.
Yes. Yep.
It
We
was.
agree. Yep. Nailed it. Thanks. That's all, folks.
When the Acolyte was first announced as a female-run show with Leslie Headland at the helm,
Because we haven't had enough of those in
starring
Star
a
Wars the
black
last 10 years.
Yeah, right? Magic. What's this down here?
I just wanted to show this real quick. It's literally like when she said that, this is the first thing that came to my mind.
Remember it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a fuck.
Yep. That's the correct reaction to that statement.
and a diverse cast of characters, unlike we had seen in a Star Wars project before. The review
What?
bombers
What? Star Wars has always been diverse. What the fuck is she talking about?
No. See, the aliens don't count. The aliens don't count, and Lando doesn't count because he has sex with robots.
Mm-hmm.
took to the internet before the show even had a chance to air.
Is it worth the price?
I understand that it got review bombed to an insane degree by
No, it
But
didn't.
by the way, just quick sidebar. I love how we've like literally wheeled this term review bombing into the ether as if it's a real thing. Like this is a real term. Like they review bombed the show. It's like there's no such thing as review bombing. So a show that you like that you tried to use to channel your agenda got absolutely crapped upon, and then you guys are trying to use the term review bombing to save face. Like we know what you're doing. Like stop it.
so many people who were hating on it just because of what seemed like internal prejudice.
Manless and
Yeah, but then what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody review bombed it, and then what happened though? Did the studio say,
hey.
"Those are review bombs. This is actually doing very well," or did they cancel it?
Yeah, where were all these videos like when the show was actually like out and like stuff? Like how come all of you crazy was it cave dwelling demons just came out of the woodwork only after the show was canceled instead of like a month ago when it was actually out? Like where were you then?
Berg, who not only gave a phenomenal performance as Osha, but also as her twin sister May, had no
They didn't even talk. They barely even spoke. What are you talking about? Amanda just went. That was like 90% of what she did on camera was just go.
My cat could do better than that. Look at that. He is
Yeah.
better face. He's giving
Nailed it.
better face. Look at that. He gives better face.
no choice but to stick up for themselves and defend herself against the vitriol
And that's why she created that intensely cringy rap to defend herself.
and bigotry that she was receiving
Bigotry, like, your show sucks.
because Lucasfilm did not protect her.
They didn't. They did not send out anybody to, like, get in front of that, to go out there and be like, hey, internet, you can't comment on this. They didn't send out a man from the internet wearing a Nintendo Power Glove and a towel to rescue her. So she had to defend. This is the only way she could figure to defend herself was to accuse everybody who doesn't like her stuff as being a racist and dancing in inner city place.
The supposed Star Wars fans were divided, and by that,
No,
No,
really,
they were not. I saw like Star Wars fans, like leftist Star Wars fans, even saying it sucked. It's only a vocal minority that agree with them.
Well, careful. You're a little too light complected to call her a vocal minority. Now that's a little, I don't know. Might not get away with that.
Zeno is dark enough. He could say it.
I see.
You're dumb.
Managed to pull off enemies to lovers so well.
Lucasfilm didn't do anything to protect the cast
Not a thing. No internet bodyguards.
and the crew of the Acolyte.
Why can't the girls
Protect
have
me!
fun things for the girlies? Why?
Because all you want to do is have like these weird rape fantasies.
Mhm.
That's what you want. You don't want any like hero. You want a woman to have her family killed in front of her, like Osha. This is what happened to Osha. If you guys didn't watch the show, this is what happened to Osha, the good twin, the Jedi twin. Everyone she cared about was murdered by this Khmer guy, the guy with the red lightsabers we keep seeing, okay? That right in front of her. Her best friend, who she was expressing a love interest in, was skewered several times through the entire torso by this person and died, uncharacteristically in Disney Star Wars, but died anyway. And then also, everyone else that this person cared for, that Osha cared for, aside from Master Soul, was murdered in front of her by this guy, okay? And so that's what these women are complaining about. They're like, we want more men entering our lives and obliterating everybody we care about and leaving sex as the only resource to express ourselves through. That's what they're telling you.
but it
And that's it. There's just music in the background while this woman goes, poopy.
just shows how fragile you guys are to storytelling.
Madam, you're making a TikTok about a canceled show that Not even your friends watched.
Mm-hmm.
It was for the girls on board.
Leslie Headland was so dedicated as a fan of Star Wars.
So when Mother
She what? She was not a fan of Star Wars. Stop.
That's amazing.
You keep saying the Acolyte has fans. Where they at though?
Anicia says this quote, and the whole show is literally about people of color.
I thought it was about two twin girls having their destiny stolen from them. Oh well.
That was the subplot. That was the
Apparently.
subplot.
That was like the C plot. The first plot is just black people, people that aren't white. You know, that was the first. That was A plot. Yeah.
Ask me what I'm about to do.
Are you gonna rob a bank? Kind of look like you're gonna rob a bank. You gonna rob a bank?
I'm about to cry. Thank you for
Oh, that's a letdown. I was hoping you're gonna rob a bank.
asking.
I don't care about what the incel said.
You guys
We don't care what you said either, dear.
Mhm.
That's simple.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
The
even
Thanos line.
dude,
I don't
hold
know
on a
this.
second, hold on. BuzzFeed still exists? I thought it shut down like years ago.
No, one of the Soros kids bought it.
No, how convenient.
Mm-hmm. Amanda Stenberg, star of The Acolyte, is challenging the intolerable racism in Star Wars fandom, and those are the words I was looking for.
By the way, she's getting destroyed on Instagram, from what I've
Good.
heard.
Stenberg so bad.
The Acolyte, it was kind of to be expected considering how it is set in the universe that has, if not one of then the most toxic fan base like ever.
Yeah, the Raylos got Adam Driver nearly divorced from his wife. So, yeah. Yeah, wishing death on her just because she's married to the guy that they want married to Daisy Ridley, who isn't Rey, and he's not Kylo Ren, so the dynamic you want to exist isn't whatever.
To receive this news, I like him.
I am mourning.
This is TikTok is like an acid trip, man. You like log into that stuff and like you can feel like your intelligence score just going lower and lower and lower and lower.
It is pure brain rot. This is why, well, besides not wanting the CCP to have my data, like, that is pure brain rot.
The fact that we're not getting any more Chimera edits because we're not going to get any more source material.
What?
No, see, like, this is the fan base that, you know, or this is the fans that the Acolyte brought here. That's their fans. It's thirsty shippers. So that's their
do you
target
mean?
demographic.
It wasn't bringing in the view.
Yeah,
It wasn't bringing in the views.
Well, yeah, because thirsty shippers aren't a large demographic for Star Wars. No, that's for like anime and manga, a certain sect of it. There's a lot of thirsty shippers there, but not for Star Wars.
Fiona Rad says all these girls want a bad guy until they get him.
Yeah.
And then they write up all these posts about how all men are evil forever because of that guy. Yeah. Tassus Jones is here and he says, if you're going to cry over a canceled television show, you have some serious mental illness and should seek help immediately.
You hear that, people who still cry about Firefly to this very day?
Yeah, I never got that. I watched Firefly and I was like, that's kind of neat, but I don't understand why people are like jumping off of buildings about it. You know, it's whatever.
The viewership was not bad. The precedent this is setting is very
The viewership was bad. Like, stop.
Literally canceled because no one watched it.
The face you make when the show that didn't have a bad viewership gets canceled anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And very concerning. What Lucasfilm is doing with this decision is allowing the bigots to win, allowing the bigots to run
anything
with
but
this
that.
and decide.
The bigots are winning. The chuds, the dude bros, they're gaining ground. They're gonna get Bob Iger. They're gonna tickle his balls.
Even if that's
They're all
not
gonna
the
laugh
argument-
at you.
Even worse, right? They're gonna laugh at you. Oh no. Not the dude bros.
Full intention of canceling the show, that they have won, that they are correct, that Star Wars needs to be white and male, and it can't be anything else.
Well,
Like,
that was easy.
dude, what? Like, these people, like, as the saying goes, assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. Seriously, these people are just delusional. Delusional.
You know, the larger scope to take away from this really is that you're dealing with a bunch of media consumers now, not people who are legitimately interested in the material. You're dealing with people who are strictly consumers who will look at this and they say, aha, this tickles a certain fancy that I have, regardless of the delivery that I'm getting here. The sex bait in all of this is what I'm here
Yeah.
for, you know, and that's that. So it doesn't matter if it's like Herbie the Love Bug or if it's Star Wars or if it's Buzz Lightyear in space. They, as long as it possesses that romance, aka kill my family and try to rape me angle, they're good. They're there for it. They're in there in droves, passionately, in fact. So I don't
You're
know.
basically dealing with a bunch of tourists. Every fandom is dealing with a bunch of tourists right now that belong. This is how I've been describing it, and it's funny because it's SpongeBob's 25th anniversary that this is happening in. We're dealing with a bunch of people that belong at Super Weenie Hut Juniors that are trying to get into the salty spittoon. That is what we are dealing with.
That is a deep fried reference meme right there.
So Zack Snyder was cornered and asked about his how he feels about the Cavill about Henry Cavill being swallowed up by Disney and the MCU. And he says, I think you could always have more Henry. So
That's a major phrasing.
yeah, well, it's really probably the best thing he can say, aside from "I want my Netflix Justice League series." You know, give me back Henry Cavill. I want my angry, mustachioed Superman. But
It was better than him saying like, "I'm not gonna forget what you niggas did to me."
well, you know,
I
that's
don't know if
probably
that
what was
what
going
goes.
through the back of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But again, like he's all enraptured with his Rebel Moon thing right now that barely anybody under the sun likes. So.
Yeah.
We have Fire Opal 94 here saying, do they seriously not realize that no money, no show? If the show made them millions, people would complain that they want and complain all they want, and there is no way that Disney would cancel it. And that's the truth. They're not out here killing things that are successful. They are clinging on to them. We're getting Toy Story 5, for goodness sakes. Oh, and also a John Wick 5. Irrelevant of Disney, we're getting a John Wick 5.
And
Yeah.
apparently a new Anaconda movie and Rush Hour movie are in the works.
Yep.
It's like the diversity hires don't realize that the diversity hires, like they somehow convinced themselves that they actually got in based on merit, and then they're going up to like their bosses and they're like, you do know why you're here, right? Like you do know why we brought you in. No, it's not because you did 5 credit hours at Yale. That's not why we brought you into our fold here. I hate to break that to you. But yeah, no, back to Zack Snyder. I mean, speaking of a guy who's pretty much like lost all of his goodwill over the last several years, Zack Snyder has definitely done that here with a multitude of his projects that come out. They are just not good at all. The Rebel Moon definitely probably puts a nail in the coffin for a lot of his projects at this point because they were just absolutely awful. And after, like I said, what happened with Geeks and Gamers a few years ago, you're not going to get too many people who are going to go at bat for him anymore. So it's like, yeah, nice job there, Zach. I hope it was worth it.
Well, and, you know, I really, it all kind of spirals back from that, you know, the way that Marvel has been unopposed has led to the state that it's in. It hasn't had to compete. It hasn't had to prove a better product. So it's led to the state that it exists in now. And I don't know about you guys. I'm just going to be that guy that it's Zack Snyder's fault. He went in and he decided, I want a grim, dark, angry DC universe. And that is the opposite of everybody but Batman and the Justice League Dark. And even then, up until his run, up until he got his hands on the Man of Steel, DC still wasn't grim, dark, evil, you know? And ever since he introduced that into the cinematic universe, DC has been on an absolute tailspin. into grim dark everybody's Batman to some degree. And even now they have absolute DC where they're trying to revitalize these heroes by showing them as like emo, like music video heroes, protagonists.
Like every time they're on screen, you can just hear like Linkin Park crawling in my skin playing in the background.
Yeah. Well, this is a different kind of dark. You're thinking of a dark where there was like crime and things to be done. Like the characters themselves are dark and angry. Superman is dark and angry. Batman, of course, is dark and angry. Wonder Woman is dark and angry and a little rapey. And everybody, all the characters, every last one of them, even Batmite, got this weird self-reflective kind of hatred, like a self-hatred just started masking all of the DC universe around the time Man of Steel started showing up, or the previews for Man of Steel started showing up. And even Convergence that revitalized Superman not being so self-absorbed delivered us to Superman that's all like, I don't know if it's really my place to interfere. I'm Superman and I can stop all this stuff, but I think I'll just witness these people dying and suffering because I don't know if it's my place to interfere. And that's what you have now. So it's right. It's not necessarily dark as in the sense of someone being murdered. It's dark as in the sense of like all the characters are emo band lead singers.
Yeah, they're basically all what's that dude's name? The bad Joker. What's his dude's name? And Jared Leto.
Leto?
They're all
Yeah.
They're all basically Jared Leto now.
Yeah. And self-absorbed, self-concerned weirdos that put saving people as like the last part of their agenda, We have Meteor Advocate Timon, member of the channel, saying, Snyder, I want Superman to be like Batman because I never moved on from being an angsty teenager. And that's the truth. That's a lot of people who are down for making every character Batman. Usually your classic edgelord. People who sit and say that Superman's boring because he doesn't have all this anger and isn't able to be shot out of the sky with a pistol. They completely miss the point of that character and try to slave it to the understanding of Batman that they have. And unfortunately, Batman, because of that,
Batman doesn't kill enough people.
Right. That's another one. And unfortunately, Batman has become multitudes more edgy, more grim, more gravelly than grimdark, whatever you prefer, than he ever has been in order to compensate for his entire universe taking like what arguably was his 90s atmosphere. The whole DC universe looks like 90s Batman these days. And that's just
fair assessment.
Speaking of things that look the same, we have Amazon's Fallout showrunners defending changes to the franchise canon. There might have been a time in the ye olde days when you were a Philistine if you deviated in an adaptation, but not anymore. Well, Dragon Ball Evolution begs to differ.
Only slightly.
Yeah, okay. There was a
Saint Seiya
Ford
begs to differ
Mustang
too.
in a Dragon Ball presentation, okay? Just Ford Mustang.
Well, I'd also like to add Saint Seiya's live action adaptation, or I'm sorry, bastardization would beg to differ too.
Sure.
Yeah,
So again, when they're going to find out as they go along the same lesson that Borderlands learned. Most people are on board with what I hear about the Fallout show is the ghoul. Most people appreciate the Red Skull cowboy than anything else in the Fallout presentation. They don't like the main characters. They don't like the plot. They really just appreciate that ghoul character.
But here's the thing with like a video game adaptation, like with Fallout or Borderlands even, is that you're dealing with Fallout, especially you're dealing with a huge open world. You could do almost anything with it. But I don't understand why they're just not utilizing it. Halo, it's a little bit of a different story because like there's a pretty strict canon for it. There's still a big world to explore, mind you, and there's a lot of reference material, not just the games, but I think there's like books even too you can reference.
Yep.
But like Fallout though, there's no excuse not to like just like go wild with it. and like be creative. So hearing that they're just not utilizing it really irritates, and it probably irritates the fandom too. It's one of those series where you could go wild with it. It's not like something, as I said, it's not like something like Halo. It's not something like a manga or an anime live action adaptation. But the way these people are acting and are the showrunners are acting is really ridiculous. In my opinion.
I mean, it's probably by design, though. I mean, I think we could say pretty safely at this point that at least Fallout has fared far better than what was the other one, Borderlands has.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you've seen the numbers for Borderlands, but it's abysmal. They've already announced like not only like the streaming date, but I think like the essentially the DVD or whatever like the
Yeah.
release date. Because I mean that was an absolute like money pit. Like that was a huge flop for them. At least we'll say Fallout has fared a bit better. But like I said, another thing it's hard to gauge with like these streaming services is that even though we still kind of have access to what's called kind of the Nielsen ratings for like streaming, we don't really have the full scope of things. This is something that I've noticed with, if you guys saw my review of that terrible John Cena movie that came out earlier this week. It was essentially, I think it was what? Was it Netflix? No, it was Amazon Prime, the same company, Amazon. And they were essentially claiming that, hey, this was like the third biggest watched film on the whole platform like this week. And now that's not saying much considering the fact that's really the only thing that they released that week. But they love to be able to kind of like frame these things in the sense of, oh, when we tell you that 3 million people watched this, they'd be, oh my God, that's absolutely amazing. But it's like, that's just 3 million people who watched it. That's not actual like revenue like coming in at the end of the day. That just means people who already subscribed to your streaming service watched the movie for like 10 minutes and then just gave up, because that's kind of the metric there of how they count how many people actually watch it. Like, you only have to watch it for like a allotted amount of time. If you give up like 10-15 minutes in, they still count you as, well, you watched it. So
yeah, it's all that counts. We got the click. Screw you.
Don't
Don't care if you liked it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got your money.
That's the end of it. But you know who probably will get the money, though, for good reasons. 2 good reasons. 2 pretty big reasons. You got Spider-Man 4. Apparently, there's rumor going around Hollywood, 2 big rumors going around that
2
Sydney
giant
Sweeney.
rumors.
I wouldn't say giant. I don't know that, but they're hefty, that's for sure. Madam Web star Sydney Sweeney being eyed for the role of Black Cat in Marvel's Spider-Man 4. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think Tom Holland's going to survive the filming of this movie.
Yeah, or maybe his relationship won't survive, which, at this point, I mean, is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean,
Well, he's going from a washboard to melon, so I mean,
oh yeah, I can only imagine the Twitter discourse about this whole thing if they end up putting Sydney Sweeney and Zendaya in the same movie. It's like the pressure that Tom Holland's character is going to have in the film to make sure that he chooses the black woman or over the white woman is going to be absolutely hilarious to watch. So part of me is like, yeah, please do this, because this would be, it'll be probably the only good thing about this whole movie. Like I said, I've been very open about the fact I'm not a big Tom Holland fan. I think the last film, which was No Way Home, was kind of the first time I've actually felt like, okay, now he's Spider-Man, and that was what his like 5th appearance in the MCU, maybe 6th appearance up to that point. It's like, at least I can buy him now as the character. He's not like that like 15-year-old twink that just goes, hey, Mr. Stark, remember that old movie, Jaws? Remember that thing? Remember Jurassic Park? The whole like Gen Z joke that they kept running into the ground that was never funny in the first time. So at least, when he wanted to kill what's his name, Green Goblin in the last movie, it's like, okay, now I feel like he's Peter Parker now. It took him a while. It probably took him a little too long, but at least I can actually see him as that character now. And all honesty, the movie itself made, what, $2 billion at the box office a few years ago. There's really no justification for another Spider-Man movie outside the fact that it made $2 billion. So what is even another Spider-Man movie going to be about? Like, what more can they possibly go with this whole thing outside of a weirdo love triangle between these 2 girls?
Yeah, and I don't think IRL Zendaya is going to be able to handle having Sydney Sweeney's talent smeared all over Tom Holland, because Black Cat is a very physical friend. And
Yeah.
so I don't think that that's going to go over well in reality. also the movie will probably pit them against each other. Felicia in the comics was, I wouldn't say exactly at odds with Mary Jane, but the two of them definitely had some competitive energy between them over Peter. So I can't imagine that not being part of a movie involving Black Cat, and so I just don't think Tom's gonna make it. I think we're gonna get like one of those late night discussing film, culture crave posts. Tom Holland found dead, stuffed in a suitcase in the back of a pink convertible. Zendaya, lead suspect.
Yeah. Or do like that girl from TLC did and just burn his house down from the tub.
Yeah,
do that as well.
That's true.
Could be one of those SS Sniper Wolf situations where it just turns millions of thirsty fans on him. Like, go kill him and I'll sleep with you, And then he's just running forever,
I mean, let's be honest. Tom Holland has been in more degrading stuff than this over the last couple of years. So I don't know. Maybe this is sorry about that last movie we made you do. But hey, what if we put you in a film with Zendaya? Does that kind of make up for everything we force you to do against your will? Is that going to make up for the hours and the thousands of dollars of therapy we force you to endure? Are we good now?
Now I wonder why Zendaya would hate Sydney Sweeney.
I wonder why she would be jealous at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and then, they're both from Euphoria. Yep, nailed it. And
is it because she's white? But then again, I was like, well, you're white too, though. So that doesn't make sense.
Nah, it's definitely titty envy. But she could buy a pair of tits, though. That's the thing. Like, there's no excuse to be titty envy when you could buy a pair.
I mean, no one's stopping you. I mean, yeah. There's that, but yeah, I think part of it has to do with the fact that especially over the last like couple of years, like that whole Euphoria show was all like based on like Zendaya being like the main star. Then over the last pretty much like year and a half now, but Sydney Sweeney's star has risen. I'm not sure if I'll go as far as say completely surpassed her yet, but there's definitely far more positive buzz around Sydney Sweeney at this point than Zendaya. So you could be looking at, like I said, someone moving up the card, as the wrestling fans like to say.
Honestly, unless it's a Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland is just not Spider-Man to me. He just isn't. Like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield doesn't do it for me either in terms of Spider-Man, in terms of a Peter Parker anyway. Spider-Man, maybe. But
But so here's the divide here too, because especially with this whole multiverse nonsense that we've done over the last several years, now you have a kind of this renewed, hey, let's bring Tobey Maguire back to do another Spider-Man, do a proper Spider-Man 4. But it's like, isn't he like 50 now? Like, do you really want a 50-year-old Spider-Man?
look at Wesley Snipes. People were hating, saying Wesley Snipes isn't going to come back.
To be fair, a 50-year-old Blade isn't nearly as jarring as a 50-year-old Spider-Man.
Well, people want to see a happy Spider-Man finally get like that happy ending.
The other thing we have to remember.
What happy ending? He's gonna fight in the real MJ.
But the thing about it is that a lot of people forget about the Wesley Snipes performance is he didn't do a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
You got to remember when you're playing Spider-Man, you got to squat, you got to jump, you got to kick, you got to do the whole put your hands between your thighs and lift your knees up above your rib cage. And I'm not so sure a 50-year-old man can do that. At least
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise exists.
Tom Cruise is a psychopath who may or may not drink children's
He's
blood.
been training
so
for it, though. And Tobey Maguire has been enjoying donuts, and that's the difference. Is that Tom Cruise stays in stunt-ready shape most of the time. He's very rarely in any other condition. I've never seen a fat Tom Cruise that wasn't wearing a suit.
I was gonna say Tropic Thunder, but I think he was wearing a fat suit.
Yeah. And then of course we've never seen Toby as a blown up guy, but he has the average body build of a 40-something American male. He's not training for superhero stuff. So again, you can do that.
Even in No Way Home, Tobey Maguire had like that old Eminem look to him.
Yeah,
where it was like Eminem in the later years.
I'm just here to make sure none of you kill each other. That's what I'm here, and that's basically what his denouement was. Is that he he stopped Peter Tom Holland from killing Willem Dafoe, and that saved the day. That saved the day. But yeah, no, I don't think Toby would be able to pull it off. He did very minimal stuff in the No Way Home movie. On top of that, it's like when they brought the Power Rangers back for that Once and Always movie. It just doesn't work. 50-year-olds lobbing around henchmen like they're 25.
They got poor
still.
Catherine out there looking like she needs to be in a PTA meeting doing like power morphers.
The power soccer moms,
Mhm.
you know, and that's really the problem, is that when you're playing a character as animated as Spider-Man, it really only works for a young man. That's mostly why we don't see an older Peter Parker, is it just sort of looks stupid having a mature man doing what Spider-Man does. It just doesn't. It's very strange seeing like a 50-year-old man, full goatee, you know, got to be home for the kids, beer gut, is clinging to a wall, hanging upside down over your head. There's just no way that like dad bod hanging from the ceiling isn't a joke. You know, there's no way. Like he's walking across that one of those drop ceilings you got in like the offices that you push up on it and there's this hole above thing. You can just see where he's like, he falls through and he's like, oh shit, that worked 5 years ago. I guess I really have gotten fat. There's just a bunch of old man jokes that they can do with that, unfortunately. And that's ultimately why in my opinion, they need to drop this whole Spider-Man thing. This whole thing needs
Drop
to
it
be
like it's hot.
Yeah, let go of that character. Make a new superhero. It's not that hard.
Well,
Make
they
a new
want
superhero.
Miles Morales.
Yeah, like I
That's the
said,
other thing,
we know
too.
this is all going to lead to them replacing Peter Parker or Miles Morales anyway, because that's what they've been literally trying to do for the last 10 years. The only thing that's hurt them is the fact that the Peter Parker movies keep making billions of dollars.
Well, and that they can't root Miles. That's truthfully the biggest problem, is because they can't explain his story. Miles is Miles Morales. He's not Spider-Man. That's the hardest thing, is they can't cross that line. They made too much of a deal about him not being Spider-Man when he showed up that nobody recognizes him as Spider-Man. You know, they could have called him the Spider Rider.
It's Black Spider-Man.
They could have called him the Spider Rider and just made him like a one-to-one ripoff of a fucking Common Rider. And they just weren't brave enough to give Miles his own identity. Oh, he's just punk Spider-Man. He's not even punk Spider-Man. He's just the swagger of a black teen Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah, he could have been literally anyone else.
But yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. I figured we'd close out on Sydney Sweeney's. You know, Sydney Sweeney's.
Giant chesticles.
Giant, I don't know.
Black kitties.
Okay, mid-sized melons.
There we go. That's, you know. Okay. Well, anyway, going around the horn, where can anybody find anybody, right? So, Jacob, we've got you in the lead position here. Where do we find you out there on the wild internet?
You can find me at Society Reviews on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter, on Twitch, all of those sites there. I got some movie reviews coming up this weekend. Obviously, The Blink Twice will be one of them that you can look forward to. Hopefully on Friday, I'll have that out ready for you guys. On our show, we'll do the review on that one on Friday night. Sunday, we have the next episode of the Bible Lens podcast. We'll actually talk about, this week, we're actually covering this topic of the pre-wrath rapture and how that leads to the false prophet of the Bible. So there's an interesting little discussion about that. Don't think we have anything on Monday, but Tuesday we'll have the bar room. I know we'll be talking about Lady Gaga and the whole, pretty much them saying that, hey, this isn't Harley Quinn and the Joker, even though this is named Joker 2 and she looks like Harley Quinn. They're straight up saying that no, this has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple of other stories that come out there in the next few days that we'll cover as well. So go follow me on all those spots. I'm not hard to find. So.
And Miss Nerdigans, where do we find you out in the wild?
Well, when my cat is not being a bad kitty and knocking things over, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Nerdigans Inc., where I cover anime and manga every day. As you can see right there, there's my Twitter handle at Packer Girl. Cider showed my other stuff earlier with my Cash App, PayPal, my Patreon, where I'm covering more anime content because I don't have to worry about getting a copyright strike. And I will be covering 2.5D Seduction on Friday. And Oh God, it is that anime is censored and botched like no other. Censored by JC staff and botched by the infamous Katrina Lewandakis. There are memes galore, and that's not just the anime. The Seven Seas localization is full of it too. Ironically, it's the localizer teaches beginners Japanese. I can't remember the college's name, but yeah, to college students. So yeah, so I'll be doing that on Friday. I know I got to do a Suicide Squad Isekai series review for Bounding's YouTube channel. I am just so behind on everything. I'm going to do One Piece recaps for the anime. I've never covered One Piece anime before, so this is going to be, and I've been covering One Piece manga since 2016, so this is going to be big for me. I was going to do it last week, but I figured since we're getting to the flashback content, some really good flashback content, I'd start it this week. So hopefully I'll have that up. I'll have that fully recorded and up by Monday, the latest. And for Cider to upload the latest. In terms of article stuff, the ACOLYTE content should hopefully be up by tomorrow. And obviously the Witch Watch article is up. And then I have I just have to finish putting the tweets in there. But there's a huge pirating scheme coming out of China for counterfeit Weekly Shonen Jump issues. It's insane. It's been happening since 2021-ish. And it's making millions of dollars, and not that apparently not that many people outside of Asia know what's happening. So stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming, and hopefully I'm not going to be extremely burnt out.
Well, and over on the Bounding channel, which you're already watching, right? Over on the main, we are covering a lot of topics. We've got the Assassin's Creed update going on, and also we just covered the Acolytes reaction here with all the journalists that you didn't see in this like recording of the people responding, like the fans responding. We did a whole video on the journalists responding. This includes what we saw about Alyssa McConaughey, but there's also Scott Mendelson completely losing his mind over the actors being used as shields to protect Disney from these bad ideas. Like, they just spend the money for fun, just to find out, you know? This isn't a deliberate effort to run an agenda. And of course, he coined the term YouTube industrial complex, okay? So feel free to check out that video over there. We're also covering anime gaming topics all the time over here on Bounding into gaming lately, but feel free to check that out. And also make sure to get involved with the Facebook page. We're all over there posting new content constantly, so feel free to let yourself be known. And that brings us to the end of the show, everybody. We want to thank you for tuning in, and yeah, it's been a blast. Okay, all right, we're doing pregnant pauses on this stream.